This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book. Sports by the book. South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching?
This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in. It is Football Frenzy on a Friday. That is all 4 of us for you on our screen. I'm Jeff Parles. She is Alex White, directly to my right. Far side of the desk, Chris Andrews, supporting the Cyclones here today in the Cyhawk.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Big game for Iowa and Iowa State. And then the well-dressed Vinny Magliulo to my left.
Good morning. Good day. How's
After, we're in the afternoon. We've made
It's
it.
afternoon, 12.
We've made it.
And,
Good day.
in a few seconds, yeah.
We've
Cover
made
all
it.
3. How's that? Morning, noon, and night.
Any of them, right? We're at high noon here on the West Coast. So week 1 of college football is come and gone. Week 1 of the NFL is here. Started off with a fun game, unless if you were on the over last night with Dallas and Philadelphia. We'll get to that. If you're new to the show, here's how the split goes when we get to NFL season. Hour number 1, all college football. Hour number 2, NFL. We're here for 2 hours. We'll get all the NFL games. We'll get a good chunk of the college games, and we'll get to it right now. And, let's just start with today. And Vinny, we have 2 games here tonight. Mm-hmm. One of them, we get to see Louisville, who we talked about as a potential threat in the ACC, hosting James Madison. They're 15-point favorites now. And in Maryland, who's been bet against here against Northern Illinois, they've been all over the Huskies, down to 16.5 in this game.
Yeah. Let's start with the Madison-Louisville, right? About 3 years since these 2 teams met here, too, also in Louisville. Louisville dominated that game by 24 back then. So, initially money went James Madison's way, and now Louisville. So you mentioned it, now sitting at 15 and 55.5, which is a bet to the under. Is a 2-point move to the total, to the under on that one, Jeff. Northern Illinois and Maryland, all about going against the Terps here. I mean, we saw it last week. I think we're going to continue to see it, and maybe there's a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. But also the under has been played here by 2 points, now down to 45.
Alex and I talked about this a little bit this morning. Both of these games, I'm seeing how if the market somehow goes higher on JMU. You already got in there before the 17s disappeared on Northern Illinois, Alex.
Yeah, more so the sloppiness of Maryland from last week, and did have a big win over FAU, 39-8. But still, I think there's more that we didn't really see from Northern Illinois last week. So overreaction, kind of just looking at the 2 scores, I think Northern Illinois can hang in there.
Let's go to Saturday, guys. And of course, as always, I gave the disclaimer this morning, Vinny, and I'll give the disclaimer again. The college football props that Chris and company do a tremendous job with every single week in college football are up. The team to score the first touchdown in the 9 a.m. window, that is time of game, guys, not time of day. Don't come running to the window to say to Vinny, hey, Vinny, why didn't I win? Because
people do it on purpose now. You know that.
I've never done
just
it.
Just to see the reaction.
Hey, it's but the first touchdown of the 9 a.m. window. Texas Tech, by the way, is the favorite in that one, playing Kent State, who is very, very bad. We'll just go with that. And then, of course, the highest scoring team of Saturday, which Texas Tech is also the favorite in that market as well. But Chris, the second favorite in that market in both the 9 a.m. first touchdown score and the overall team score is the Penn State and Nittany Lions taking on FIU. Last week, we almost had what would have been an insane middle where it was 44 for most of the summer. You guys closed 42.5, and it was sitting on 43 until the Wolfpack got in the end zone late. Penn State's 42 in this one against FIU with a total of 53.
Well, I laid the 43.5 for some chicken wings against a friend of mine from Reno. So I actually was glad to see the other side. I really wanted Nevada to score a couple touchdowns, and they did. Penn State was very sloppy. And I do think I think the number is a little bit light, though, just knowing not so much a number play, a stat play, but knowing Franklin's mentality. They were sloppy last week, and I think he's going to try to make amends for that this week. We know he likes to score late. We know he likes to cover numbers. He likes to let his kids play, which I understand that, and I think that's okay. And I think in this day and age, you kind of have to do that. Mm-hmm. I think the number is a tad light. I made it 46. Again, more of psychologically thinking what's going to happen in the game more than absolute stats and numbers.
Feels like a ton of points.
It is.
But again, even though he didn't cover last week, but we know Franklin is hyper aware of these numbers. Oh, yeah. Again, this is game 2 of 3 against tomato cans, as you would say. We had one square at bingo. You'll get one a little bit later. I know. But again, this is a big number at 42 on Penn State. All right, let's go to Austin next, guys. And I'm curious everyone's opinion on what we saw last week from Texas. Of course, the high-profile, low-scoring 14-7 loss to Ohio State. And now to get San Jose State, Finney, who kind of under the radar late night was a big favorite and got beat at home by Central Michigan.
They lost. They missed 2 late field goals.
Yeah, missed 2, including the long one at the end.
Yeah.
This is 37. You guys are market high on Texas with a total of 52. But Vinny, what did you do with Texas, if anything, power ratings wise?
Didn't downgrade them too much. Maybe a point. I mean, they're still. Listen, their defense still played well. Right? I mean, it was the offensive line. I credit Ohio State for everything that they did in that game. You know, there was so much talk about, Arch Manning and was he overrated? It's the first game. I mean, this is a game that he can get right and the team can get right. They've got to sort out some things on the offensive line. I mean, they're again full marks to Ohio State for the game that they played on both sides of the line of scrimmage. But the difference in the game was the O-line was not effective enough for Manning. But you can't downgrade them too much. I mean, they only gave up a couple of touchdowns, so their defense is solid.
I didn't downgrade them at all.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought their defense, like you said, was great, and they do have some issues on the offensive line, and I think those are legitimate concerns, and I also think. I mean, we could say all we want, but there's a lot of pressure on Manning going into the horseshoe for his first start. I mean, he didn't look great. You can't make too many excuses for it, but I think he'll be fine. And I think I really think Sark had a terrible offensive game plan, and I've talked about him over the years. Didn't think he was a great coach, but thought that he'd kind of grown. Well, I think he shrunk a little bit in that last game. I don't think he gave Manning the right opportunity to exploit his talents, and it showed. But I didn't downgrade him at all. I think they'll be fine by the end of the year. Just
a point for me. And really, Chris, I think your point is great, and we can use it for this week too. A freshman quarterback going on the road, playing their first game. It is a big deal. So we had some guys at home last week, and now going on the road to some hostile environment. So we'll see how we take that and if we think it's going to affect them moving forward for this week.
The only concern I have with Texas moving forward, and Alex, you and I talked about this a lot during the week, and you've mentioned this last week, Vinny, where losing week 1 in these mega games doesn't impact you as much. Obviously, in the 4-team format, you lose one of these games, you have to be perfect the rest of the way.
You bet.
Now, all right, you don't have to be perfect, but Texas has to go to Florida. They have to go to Georgia. They have to play Texas A&M in that huge rivalry. I think they'll be fine. Still think they'll make the playoff, but that runway gets ever so narrower as we go through now.
Well, let me just say, if you're talking SEC and Big Ten, we assume are going to probably dominate the invitations at the end.
Sure.
Most of those schools have almost like a pro schedule. I mean, that's going to be hard. I mean, we're saying like 9-3, you're out of it. I'm not so sure. I'm not sure I would jump to that conclusion. I mean, you just mentioned some really tough games that Texas is going to play. Oh, you look at who do we got? Buffalo. Okay, we assume they're going to be the best team in the NFL, at least at this point in time. We got their season win total is 12, so they're going to be 12-5. Yeah. They're still going to probably be the best. If that happens, they'll probably still be the best team in the NFL. So let's not jump to conclusions yet. We got a long way to go. I don't think they have to sweep the board from here on in, but I mean, they obviously have to play really well. But I think we're going to see a couple of teams with multiple losses get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and also Oklahoma as well on that schedule. I didn't even mention Red River. Yeah,
by the way, yeah.
Don't be surprised if you see these two teams, again, Texas and Ohio State, meet again in the playoff. 100%. And to Chris's point, there's going to be multiple teams, in all likelihood, with 2 losses this year. You're going to have more 2-loss teams going to the playoff than the preseason folks thought.
Well, and we saw plenty of multiple loss teams there a year ago. We didn't get any 9-3 at-larges last year.
Especially if the games are close, like this game was.
Yeah. That's really the big question of will the committee be willing to put a 9-3 in? We don't know. We didn't see that last year, but again, they had kind of the perfect circumstance to not put a 9-3 team in a year ago. 37, by the way, with Texas here in this one against San Jose State. All right, up next, Chris's shirt tells the story. What a huge game this is, Alex White, for both Iowa and Iowa State. Iowa State is 2-0 on the year. They got the big win in Ireland. South Dakota is not a pushover, and they really drilled them in Ames last week. Yep. Iowa, slow start against Albany, but they ended up winning by margin. Iowa State is a 3.5-point favorite now in this one, off of the key number of 3. Oh, we got a toddler.
That's
there
right.
We go.
Back and forth we go.
3.5, 3.5 now on the Cyclones with a total of 42.5. Actually betting an Iowa total up this week.
No question. And of course, not all the teams played in week 0, but Iowa State did. And they have definitely jumped up on my power ratings more than any team so far this season. Very impressed with what I've seen from Matt Campbell's team. I was on Kansas State in that first game, so that really helped too. And then, like you said, big win last week over South Dakota. On the other side with Iowa, a lot of noise with Mark Rogowski coming over. He was the quarterback for the Jackrabbits and was really good in FCS, and we didn't see much from him in the first game. So that worries me a little bit with their offensive plan. Honestly, it worries me too. Did they hold things back for this game? But I don't know. I just like what I've seen from Iowa State. I know that it's always the dog that wins or covers, and the road team. I think it switches this year. I like Iowa State, and I like them to cover that number.
I'm on Iowa State too. I think that they are just clearly a superior team. And, we talk about 9-3 teams. Pencil Iowa in for 9-3. I mean, they'll win a bunch of games, 17-14. But I really think when it comes down to it, like I said, Iowa State is just a clearly superior team. I liked them against Kansas State, and that wasn't like a clear victory that I had the right side. But again, they came back the next week, and I think they did show that they are just a very good team, well coached. Kirk Ferentz, he does kind of his thing, and you look kind of the what I want to say, like the prejudice of what is Iowa. You know what I mean? Slow, methodical, boring. Kirk Ferentz is the perfect coach for that. But I think Matt Campbell, this guy's won quite a few games. He's turned into one of the top coaches in the NCAA. And again, I think he's recruited well. I think he has a lot of talent, and I think they win this game and cover.
Vinny, real quick, I just want to throw this out there. Last time the home team has won in this matchup
Thank you.
was 2018.
Yeah.
That's the last time the home teams won in this matchup. The last time Iowa State's won in Ames was 2011. So it's been a long time since they've actually won this game.
We're due.
I think these teams have split like the last 10 meetings, right? But I think you have to kind of throw away focus on the last, I would say 6, because Iowa State's been a much different program.
Yeah.
And so There's two advantages here I know that you're talking about the home team and the road team success, Jeff, which is an important point. But I think there's a big advantage here for Iowa State in the fact that this is their third game of the year. All right, let's remember that. And I think there's certainly more rhythm there. And I think playing at home, I think they're well aware of that as well, defending the home turf here. So I think those two, and I think that's why this number's gone up.
I liked it at 3. I don't like it at 3.5. That's all I'll say.
That's tough. Yeah, I was going to say, I laid 3. I made sure I laid the 3.
Yeah, it's number dependent. Don't, again, we'll see.
You're flirting with disaster.
Oh,
you laid 3.5.
I mean, Chris, I mean, this landing 1916, like that makes sense, right? With these two teams.
Yeah.
And then the way these games have gone over the last few years, 3.5 with the Clones at home. All right, another interesting in-state matchup here, Chris. SMU welcomes Baylor. Baylor in danger of starting 0-2. They were really handled at home by Auburn last Friday night. SMU got just pummeled poor East Texas A&M on Saturday night. This has been an interestingly bet game as well. Another little toggler. You opened, well, not really a toggler, just a straight mover.
Right.
3.5 to 2.5. SMU favored at home with a total of 63.5. A little surprised that total's been bet under, knowing these two teams' history.
Well, I mean, it's big number,
of course.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, I like SMU in this game. I opened it higher on purpose. I really think that, again, a clearly superior team to Baylor. And, Baylor lost to a pretty good Auburn team. Let's not take that away from them. But, again, our good friend Vinny pointed me to SMU last year, and I don't think they've lost a lot. Again, really well-coached team. I mean, this guy is going to be prepared. I don't know if they're going to win 10, 11 games again this year like they did last year, but I think they are, again, just a much better team than SMU, and I thought, and then Baylor, and I thought that they deserved to be well north of a 3.5-point favorite. I purposely opened it high, but the money came in on the dog. You have to respect that, but I'm okay with the position we're in.
It's been a decade since these two teams have played. You would think they would, have meant more, especially, in-state rivals and, recruiting wars and IL competition and things like that. Look, SMU is one of the few teams. They're in the minority in terms of returning head coach, both coordinators, and quarterback. That's something to pay very close attention to.
I'm with Chris. If I was behind the book, I would have opened it higher too. I think that number was correct. So now I like it under the 3 here with SMU. And you may think I'm flip-flopping, but I was already high on SMU coming into the year. So loved Baylor last week. It was the wrong side. Did not like their defense. Allowed 415 yards, 307 rushing. And Jackson Arnold had 137 on the ground. Enter Kevin Jennings, who returns for the Mustangs, who can also use his legs. So I think Baylor needs to fix up their defense, and I'm sure Dave Aranda will, but it might take some time like it did last season as well. And Brett Lashley, I mean, to Vinny's point, bringing back the coordinators, they're winners. They find ways to win. I like this SMU program last year too, or this team, and I think they can win this one here at home.
What did Baylor give up on the road or on the ground last week?
307.
That's a big indicator.
Big number.
Huge indicator.
Yeah.
Our good friend Jeff Fogel wrote about it. Yards on the ground are more important than yards through the air. Listen, we could always get a cheap 80-yard, who knows what. But, you ground and pound for 300-some yards, that's a big indicator. And that's what Baylor gave
controlling the game.
Yeah, Arnold went 8.5 yards a pop last week, which, again, quarterback run, a little bit different, but still, Arnold was great. Again, we won't talk about the Auburn game later because it's the huge favorites against Ball State, but they were one of the more impressive teams in week 1.
Oh, I moved them up quite a bit.
And deservedly so. They were excellent in that game in Waco against Baylor. I just wanted one last note on this game, and this doesn't necessarily actually have to do with this game. I'm just curious if there are some books out there, if Baylor starts 0-2 in the non-conference, if there's some accidental movement in Big 12 markets where we saw last year with Baylor. They got off to an awful start, and by the end of the year, they were a top 3 team in the Big 12 by the end of the year.
Well, SMU started off bad, too. They
lost to BYU.
Yeah.
That weird game in Dallas. This is a good one, really good one with the Ponies 2.5. All right, let's go to Durham next. Alex and I circled this game, Vinny, when we when Illinois got highly rated by the pollsters of All right, this just seems like a great opportunity to take Duke at home as an underdog. Maybe we'll get north of a field goal. Yeah. Hasn't quite worked out that way. We've been stuck on a field goal here with this one for most of the week, with Duke getting 3 at home against the Illini and a total of 49.5 in this one.
But you missed the hook.
Yeah. I blinked too much, Vinny.
Chris, you got to get the eyes wide open there. So this could very well be a toggler. I don't know. I mean, like I said, Chris opened the game 3.5 here at South Point. It's been at 3 for the majority of the week. Look, both of these teams last week, they got their first win, right? They got their first game under their belt, 52-3, Illinois over Western Illinois, and then Duke beats Elon by 4 touchdowns. So. Incentive here for Duke. I think we're going to find something out about Illinois. I think you bring up a good point, Jeff. They seem to be there seems to be a lot of positive sentiment for Illinois. This is going to be a spot where we're going to learn something about them.
The public's definitely on Illinois, but a couple of wise guys have. Our good friend Chris Felica, I know, is on the dog. Talked to Ed Feng, another friend of the show. He thinks Illinois is very overrated. We'll find out. I thought 3.5 was a good opening number. Yeah. We're down to 3, but I think you may see a 3.5 again if you're looking to take.
I missed the hook, but I still will be on the dog. And just for all of our listeners, as you mentioned, this is the trendy pick for, I don't want to say wise guys, but all sports bettors and people that are talking about the picks all week. So it could be like Baylor last week. That makes me a little bit nervous.
Or Charlotte. There's another one.
Or Charlotte, yes.
I fell for that one, so I had Charlotte.
It says stale numbers. But so I like them because I like the quarterback that comes in from Tulane and Darian Mensah, but I like Luke Altmaier on the other side, and both of them had very good first games. I just think it's going to be a tough matchup for Illinois. I think it comes down to the wire. I think Duke can hang in there. If you look at Duke's schedule last year, they were kind of a surprise, right? They lost 3 games, and none of them are bad teams, Georgia Tech, SMU, and Miami. So, I mean, they played to their competition. I think they'll be ready for this one, like the home field here. So, with Mensah, though, he is the highest paid quarterback, too, right now in college football.
Highest paid quarterback across the college football landscape.
Is that right?
He is. Yeah.
I thought it was Underwood from Michigan.
I think, Mensah's higher than Underwood. That may have changed recently if someone who's high profile.
I'll take half of either one of those.
We have to go back to school. Chrissy, we have to go back to school.
Yeah, any eligibility left?
Go back to school.
I got 4 years left, man. I tell you.
I'm just throwing this out there. I like Duke to win the game outright. I just think this is Illinois got just so overrated by the pollsters, and I think this price is good, Chris. I think Duke should be about a field goal dog, but it's a good price at plus 130 on the money line. All right, let's go to Lexington next. Alex, this matchup last year produced a monster upset in Oxford. Kentucky went to Ole Miss, beat them, and in essence, that's one of the reasons Ole Miss was watching the playoff from home as opposed to being in it a year ago. This has been a very interestingly bet game. We're currently sitting at 9 here at the South Point, from 10 to 9.5 to 9. Some other books took some interesting action on this yesterday as well, but here you go, Ole Miss on the road, 9-point favorites with a very early conference game in the SEC here in week 2.
This game is very tough. Now that we are under that number of 10, to definitely lean to the Rebels here. I do think they come in and can definitely handle Kentucky, and you got that home revenge, right? And they kept them out of the playoffs, so they've had this game circled, and I know we only want to use revenge certain times, not all the time, but this is a great spot to actually use it for Lane Kiffin. One thing that makes me a little nervous is Mark Stoops has historically done well against Lane Kiffin, and he had a good game plan last year, and he always has a good defense. It's the offense that has really struggled. I mean, even against Toledo last week, they only outgained them 329 to 205. On the flip side, I do like what we saw from Austin Simmons in the first game. It was against Georgia State, so you can only take so much, but completed 65% of his passes, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs. So got to be careful with that and taking care of the ball. I do just want to bring up Harrison Wallace, goes by Trey, was at Penn State for a few years. I was rewatching the highlights and all of this. I'm like, where was that kid at Penn State? He is a great wide receiver. So it's just, the style of play, right? Lane Kiffin likes to throw it all over the field.
Yes. I made the number 9. And it looks, I just checked, looks like we went back to 9.5. So
Okay,
we've been doing some pretty
recent
good business on this game. So a lot of interest. I think the revenge sometimes could be overrated, but maybe not so much in this case, because that's definitely what put Mississippi on the bench for the playoffs. So, I don't know. Like I said, I made it 9. I don't have a strong opinion in this game at all. Good one to watch.
This will go back and forth, I think.
I agree.
I think we'll see support for both teams for a cause. Talent level, especially the skill positions, favor Ole Miss, no doubt.
Kentucky's offense was pretty gross last week against Toledo. I know we were sweating that one out, Chris, but it just, you got to keep up. Unless if the Kentucky defense is what they were in the first half against Toledo, which Toledo did nothing until that game was a multi-score game. Yeah. I'm going to have to force some turnovers. They did that last year, and they upset in Oxford. But I think Ole Miss is just so much better on offense in this one at 9 right now on the Rebs. All right, we go now to the border war, which we have not seen on the gridiron since 2011. That's Kansas at Missouri. Chris, currently you guys are at 6 after opening at 6.5 on this game. Total 51 to 50 to 51. Kansas has 2 games under their belt. They waxed Fresno. They beat up on Wagner last week. Missouri only has 1 game under their belt. They beat up on Central Arkansas. So first real opponent for both of these teams here in week 2.
I said at the beginning of the year, I thought Kansas was a little overlooked and underrated. I felt that they were going to have a nice comeback after a disappointing beginning of last year. They finished very strong. All that being said, I like Missouri in this game. My numbers came to 8.5. I think Missouri. Listen, I think they're just very, very good. I think Kansas is too, but I think it's a good spot for Missouri. I think this is another one of those great rivalries, kind of overlooked in the national media. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad to see they're playing again. I hope they continue for a couple more years because I got to tell you, I have former relatives, let's say from Kansas. They really hate Missouri, and I'm sure it's the same.
Goes the other way.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it goes the other way too. Yeah. So, they've had a great basketball rivalry for a long time, and it's nice to see it on the football field. This is going to be interesting.
They'll play in Lawrence next year. So
renewed this rivalry.
They renewed it. Mizzou renewed the Illinois rivalry as well that disappeared. So they're going to be playing each other for a while. Vinny, I
hope they keep doing because the rivalries are really good, even with the conference realignments and everything. 100%. These two teams played annually up until 2012. It's like 13 years since they played. It's strange.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they haven't played in this long. And you know what? Got 2 fun quarterbacks in Bo Prabula and Jalen Daniels in this game. Chris at 6.
Absolutely.
Call me biased. I like my alma mater in this one.
I like them too.
At 6.
Just tell your wife I said that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. She already when should I bet Kansas? I'm like, no, I'm going to lose by 2 touchdowns in this game. Not going to be listening to me on that one for sure.
I'm with both of you too. I do have it a little bit higher, closer to 8, and I just think there is a talent gap.
Yeah.
And you've seen really, Drinkwitz has had back-to-back double-digit win season, so he's built a good team there. And I like that addition of Bo Prabula. I thought it was a great
like
pickup
him a lot.
He was awesome on opening night. Now, granted, it was Central Arkansas, but
I know, but you can only play who you're playing.
Exactly. All right, let's move to the next one up. And Vinny, Clemson, of course, in what was actually a really good week for the ACC, except if you're Bill Belichick and Clemson. This is one of the bigger movers on the board, and you guys just recently moved this game again, Chris and Vinny. Yeah. This game opened Clemson 33 at home against Troy. Yeah. Down to went to 30. Now it just went back up a half point to 30.5. Total 52.5. This is a pretty gnarly look-ahead sandwich spot for Clemson with LSU last week and then Georgia Tech coming up in Atlanta next Saturday.
Well, Troy, listen, this is a program that really is kind of, I don't want to say flies under the radar, but they're for a non-Power 4 conference school. They're very steady. They do a lot of discipline. A lot of guys that go to this school try to get upgraded and transfer, right? Get into the transfer portal. They had a big game last week. They beat Nicholls State. Okay, this is a step up in class, and you heard Debo all week. Yeah. he went on his rant and everything. Look, hey, they weren't good enough last week. They did everything they could for the national TV picture. There's no excuse, but they also went up against a better opponent. The team just played flat out better. So this is a spot where can Clemson name the score? I'm not so sure. I don't. It's not surprising to me that they took 33, 32, 31. To be honest with you, I mean, we're going to need Clemson in this game.
I just think of last year after Clemson lost to Georgia and then put a whooping on App State 66-20. So that is the way I look at this one here. I did make it right there, though, 31. I do have it higher, though. I circled it at 51. Now it's at 52.5. So lean to the over if Clemson does want to kind of let out their anger on this one.
Any downgrade on Clemson from last week, Chris?
I think I did lower them about a point. But let me just say, and I talked about this earlier, you watch out for these Southern schools, the second-tier Southern schools playing SEC teams. These kids are going all out because they feel disrespected. They weren't good enough to make an SEC squad. Like Vinny said, they're looking to maybe make an SEC squad with the next go-around in the portal. A lot of it also has to do with who's up next for these Southern teams. Well, Clemson isn't an SEC school, but
Same difference, yeah.
But who they play? Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
So I mean, could be like a look-ahead spot. And again, I think that's part of it. And like I said, my old website, I wrote an article about this about 10 years ago. I mean, it's extraordinary. And we didn't see every one of those games this week where the money showed on the dog. But on a few of them, we did, including this one. But, even all that, I made the number 29. So it looks a little high to me. But I think regardless of what happened against App State last year, I don't think this is a great spot for Clemson, and I think Troy shows up in this one.
Let's go to the next one here, Alex. This has been a one-way traffic game. Up next, Bowling Green and Cincy. Again, another one of these in-state matchups. It's been all the Bearcats. 19.5 to 23 on this game. And the funny part about this, the total hasn't budged. It's been stuck at 46 all week long.
Should be an interesting game here, right? Cincinnati coming off of that loss to Nebraska where they were really in that game. I like what we saw from them, really. Total has not moved at 46. It was a lean for me to the over. I made it a lot higher here, but I haven't jumped in yet, and I don't know if I am going to. It's really depends on whether I think Bowling Green is going to score. And I mean, they won last week against Tennessee State 24-22. That makes me a little bit nervous if they are going to be able to score here on Cincinnati. So it was circled. It was a lean, but I think I'm going to pass on this one.
I love the dog in this game.
Why don't it just keep going up, right?
I mean, what's the total? 43?
40. It's 23 for Cincinnati as a favorite. 46 on
46 the total. I mean, can they get 10 points? And I think this number's gotten way inflated.
Can we get 21-0 like we did with Miami of Ohio last week and cover?
Yeah, you could easily get that. I mean, I just think the number's gotten way too high. I didn't put this in my contest picks, but it was borderline. The number quoted to me was 21.5. If it got to 23.5, I probably would have thrown them in, but didn't quite get up there for my contest picks. But I like the dog in this game. I think they show up, and we saw some MAC teams last week. Look pretty good.
Yeah.
Not Kent State and Akron, but some of the other ones.
Akron only gave up 10 points.
Yeah, they weren't horrible.
Look at the positives.
But I kind of like the dog here. I think this game's going to be a little closer than where are we at?
You're 23.
23 now.
I mean, I think it's going to be closer than that.
Quarterback for Bowling Green, Missouri's
Drew Pine, who's been in about 18 different spots in his collegiate career. I genuinely think it's year 12 at this point for Pine now at Bowling Green. All right, let's go to Eugene next. This has been a very weird week of a war of words that really came out of nowhere, where Mike Gundy decided to open his mouth, and then Dan Lanning was pretty ticked off in his press conference earlier this week. And boy, Oklahoma State's without their starting quarterback now, who got injured last week in their opener. Oregon, Chris, you know this. Montana State's a really good FCS team.
Yeah.
And Oregon just destroyed them up at Odson last week. Opened 28, now 28.5. The interesting thing is the total got bopped down to 55.5 this morning.
I guess I don't have Oak State penciled in for a whole lot. It's funny. I made the number 28.5, but I got kids in Montana, so I follow the Montana schools pretty good. Montana State's a really good FCS team. Yeah. They've had a great program for years. And you're right, they got smoked. That game was over quick. I think Oregon, I don't know if I raised them any or not, but that's an impressive program going back to like the Chip Kelly days. I mean, they're in that reload mode. I mean, that's just a good team. And I've never been a big fan of the mullet, so he's not my favorite coach. And if Oregon wants to rub it in, I can see this game going a little higher. I would not touch Oak State.
Remember Oregon last year, right? A big favorite in week 1, and they actually escaped, right? Yeah. So I give them credit for how they approached last week's game. What Gundy was thinking, I don't know, talking about how the resource. First of all, their field is named after one of the richest people in the history of this country.
I was just going to say.
Exactly.
Like, what do you? I mean, if you're going to make if you're going to try to make a point, will you get your facts right? Pickens.
T. Boone was worth what? $5 billion at the time of his death?
A lot more than about $5 billion worth more than me.
I'm thinking to myself, like, what do you? So I don't know his methodology, but I have to be honest with you. Oregon's on a mission here now. Again, 4 touchdowns is a lot, but it's not going to surprise me that they're going to bet the Ducks here.
Yeah, and I don't usually lay big numbers like this, but it would only be the favorite for me. I actually have it 33, so I did circle the 28. That is a little tempting, especially Oklahoma State. We've seen this already. We saw it last year, right, with the struggles at the quarterback position. Yeah. And, I mean, 2 wins last year. They're going to struggle again this year.
Well, I had them rated very low going into this year, but 28's a lot. Yes. I understand that. But like I said, it'd be favorite or pass for me.
I'm trying to find an Oklahoma State team total. It's going to be really low, but I don't see them scoring more than 2 touchdowns in this game.
I wish I had my notes for the scoring prop. I don't have the notes.
I'm floored Gundy made it to this year anyway. After how bad last year was, if they go 4-8 again, he's definitely going to be out there.
Well, if you're interested in Oak State, you can get them 3,000 to 1 to be the highest scoring team of the day.
I'm good, Chris. Even at 20 to 1 on the money line is not even going to think about that.
Throw a buck on there.
All right, up next, quick hitter here. Interesting game, Alex, in the state of Texas. Texas State won big last week. UTSA. Chris, never a doubt, right, on UTSA last week? Covering the whole way until they weren't, and then we get the long touchdown with less than 20 seconds left to get in the back door.
That was nice.
Yeah, you know what? We had the right side. I think we really did.
Yeah, I think we did.
Bad luck that we weren't covering at the end there until we were. 4 with UTSA at home at the Alamo Dome in this one against Texas State.
I really think those numbers are just right here. I mean, it is a little intriguing, like you said, the 2 teams in Texas here, and Texas State has been playing well. I mean, going back to last year, and Brad Jackson only had 3 games at quarterback position, but he does return now and get the starting position and looked good in the first game. 4 touchdowns for him, 214 yards. So it's a lean to taking the points there with the dog, but I'm not going to jump in here.
I think what Alex brings up a good point. So important, the Power 4 conferences and a lot of the marquee matchups get all the attention, but look for these smaller conferences. You can find some you get line movement like this. That's why when people say, listen, where do we start making power ratings? Maybe you start with a smaller conference and just zero in on it. Again, Chris will be the first one to say, we've got to book all these games. You don't have to bet all of them, but you can find some spots along the way. And credit Alex. And Alex, as part of your pedigree from your grandpa and your dad, to look at some of these smaller schools where, okay, in this case, you got 2 points of a line move. Why is that? And start zeroing in on that. So you can find some spots.
I made the number 4.5. But to Vinny's point, what's there, 25 million people in Texas? Seriously, 20. Every goddamn one of them plays football. So there's going to be some pretty good kids playing at some of these schools.
I will say, I actually, even though we needed the backdoor touchdown at the end, Chris, I was pretty impressed with UTSA. I thought they played, A&M is a legitimate top 12 team in the country. And UTSA hung with them for 2.5 quarters before A&M finally shut down Henry, who was awesome in that game.
I said my numbers come to 4.5, so I got no opinion on this game. But these two teams both are going to give some pretty quality football.
Let's go to this next one. And, Vinny, this is a bizarre spot for the West Virginia Mountaineers. And I'm a little bit floored that they agreed to play this game on the road in Athens here. Ohio looked pretty good. They were right there all the way through against Rutgers last week. Easy cover, only lose by a score.
Well, they started off slow. Right?
Well,
they came back.
Punt. The block punt really messed things up in that first half. But 3.5 in this one. This is a good old-fashioned multi-toggler, Vinny. Open 2.5, up to 3.5, back to 3, and out 3.5 with West Virginia on the road in this one.
You like that 2.5 and 3.5? Well, you go ahead, say it. Use the M word. Go ahead. You say
I don't know. I'm not going to do it because I think Ohio's winning this game outright.
Well,
I don't
they
think
may very well.
Middle.
I mean, again, Ohio impressive with the way they hung around. They could have really, tucked it, put it away early because they were in trouble early in that game. But they came back and they had a chance to win the game, and they only lost 34-31. I mean, they gave up a ton of points, but Rutgers a difficult task there in that week one. And then, West Virginia, they blew out Bob Morris. So look.
Oh, that hurts.
I'm sorry,
Chris.
I'm sorry, Chris. I didn't make the schedule. But, a difficult spot. But here we have a West Virginia team in recent years. They surprise you, right? When you think they're going to be good, or when there's a game that you think they're going to really do well in, they don't necessarily do it, and then the opposite occurs too. So, interesting spot here. But the number, again, it's all about the number. Which one do you get?
I was very intrigued. I thought I was going to go under in this total. Rich Rod going back there, but it's weird. It's run game, but it's up tempo.
Oh yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
I decided to just pass. I don't know how Ohio is going to do up, but Jeff, you think they could win outright?
I think they actually have the better quarterback in this game. Navarro is, to me, the best player in the MAC.
Yeah.
And Marichaux's haven't really. We saw a lot of them last year. I wasn't overly impressed. And as you said, this is both of these teams play fast, but the way that they play doesn't really speak to, hey, this is going to be an over game, just with a lot of ground action here.
I'm on the dog in this one. I took the 3.5, and I talk about it. I do a lot of work trying to evaluate home fields. A lot of the MAC teams have ones or zeros for a home field advantage. Ohio has a 4.
Wow.
I mean, they're a good home team, and I like them. I mean, definitely with the 3.5, but I think they got a great shot to win this one outright. And if you're playing round robin dogs,
this is one of them.
This would definitely be one I'd put in there. I like the dog here a lot.
A few years ago, I don't know if you remember, Chris, they took out Iowa State in a similar spot in Athens in what was just an ugly, low-scoring game.
Frank Solich, I know he's been retired 2 years now, I guess, but I mean, he built a pretty good program there.
Yes, he did.
And you ever been through Athens?
Not a lot there.
There's not a lot there, but it's not a bad area. You can see those people really love their football team, and it shows on the field.
Let's for something a little bit different from upper Midwest to down to the state of Florida, we go next, Chris. One of the darlings of week one were the Bulls of South Florida. They just pummeled Boise State the final 3 quarters, and now they get a crack at one of the big dogs, and that's the Florida Gators. And Chris, I'm interested to see how this game gets played by the public tomorrow, or when we get around game time, a 1:15 start for us out here on the West Coast. It's been all Florida so far, 17-18, and the total's been bet up from 54.5 to 57.
Well, I made a number 17, so I agreed with the opening number. And again, I talked about how these Southern kids that don't make the SEC, this is a really important game for them. I don't know. I mean, I was surprised the money showed on the favor, and it was wise guy money. Yeah. It's not just public. It's sharp guys. I know a lot of the sharp guys do like Florida this year, which I understand. I kind of like them too. But I thought South Florida, I mean, we know they looked good, obviously. But I think this is a pretty decent team. At 17, and I thought 17 was a good number. It gets up to 18. Like I said, it is sharp guy money on that. But if this gets up any higher, I would definitely look to play the dog.
Alex, this is kind of a funky one when we talk about spots here, because of course South Florida is coming off the huge win against Boise State, but here are Florida's next 4 games after this.
Okay.
At LSU next week.
Okay.
At Miami the week after that.
Okay.
Host Texas.
Okay.
At A&M. I mean,
I don't see a breather in there.
that
I'm
is
not
one
sure.
of the most insane 4-game stretches you'll ever see. And by the way, LSU Florida is a monster rivalry, and it's in Baton Rouge next week.
Must be why they scheduled LIU last week.
I didn't even realize LIU brought football back, Vinny.
There were 6 guys from Tony's Pizza on McDonald Avenue playing in that game. Anyway,
I think 3 of them knew Vinny, too.
I was praying for him.
I mean, that is insanity for 4. We knew Florida's schedule was insane going into the year, but that 4-game stretch, it might be the toughest 4-game stretch of anyone in the entire.
Well,
How does that affect them in this game?
Exactly, that's my point.
I don't know, but I think maybe they figure, hey, we better make hay while the sun shines, to use a cliche. But I'm not so sure.
We'll see.
Like I said, I think the dog shows up there.
My only fear with the dog is the momentum never shifted, right? It was South Florida from the start to the finish over Boise, and they took advantage of a few turnovers. I think there was 3 fumbles. So how much do we really look at that? And if they played Boise again, it was a spot for them. So I don't know. I just worry if they get down, can that same thing happen to them here? But 18's a lot of points. I do think that there's some value there. I only made it 16.
Yeah, boy, I'm curious to see how it moves tomorrow, Chris. I really am. But 18 feels like a ton. But boy, when Lagaway's healthy, Florida's very impressive as well.
Yeah.
So
no, they are
good game. Good game down at the Swamp. All right, let's. Oh man, let's go to Charlotte next. Well, these are 2 teams that were very disappointing in week 1.
Yeah.
North Carolina at UC Charlotte, Vinny. The Tar Heels who, one drive, get the parade, let's go. Belichick's going to run college football like he ran the NFL for 20 years. Yeah, not so fast, my friend. Absolutely destroyed. Charlotte was pretty awful as well against Appalachian State in what was really one-way traffic on the Niners in the betting market. Vinny, this opened 14. Now it's 13.5 with the Heels laying it on the road in that short trip from Chapel Hill to Charlotte.
Worst defeat in Bill Belichick's career, I believe.
Yep, most points allowed.
Pro or in college. Well, not much in college, obviously. But look, he just doesn't have the talent. I mean, was a lot of hype. That game would never have been the Monday night game if he wasn't coaching at North Carolina. And that's not a disparaging remark against either program. But the reality is there's an enormous task in front of him and his staff. So how do they rebound? How do they but both teams, both coaches are saying the same thing. How do we respond to last week? App State took out Charlotte, and we already talked about what happened with NC. So, but not a real surprise here that the money's come in on the home dog, and you may see a situation where everybody's going to say, "Show me what you can do. Show me how you can rebound, Coach." In terms of Belichick, I don't know.
Is Gio Lopez playing, or we're going with Max Johnson?
I don't know.
No one really has been clear. I mean, I have to assume that we're going to probably see Johnson get the nod because Lopez was pretty banged up, and it's a short week. But
before we go on, I got a horse racing metaphor, I guess you would say.
Yes.
You follow horse racing a little bit, Vinny.
Yep.
Let's say you got Billy Maude or Cassie or one of those guys. They got that maiden, that high-priced maiden, comes out his first race. He finishes 8th by 15 lengths. Next time out, he pops. He wins.
Yeah.
I did not play this game. I'm not touching this game at all. But it wouldn't surprise me if you saw a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2. I mean, Belichick is still a very good coach, and I know there's been a lot of knocks on him with his girlfriend and with the talent level and all kind of other stuff. But I would not be surprised if this team showed a ton of improvement from last week to this week.
Well, to your point, Chris, I thought Fresno was a great bet last week, and you were getting points. It was not an overreaction, but a little bit. The market did go too far because Kansas beat Fresno 31-7, and everybody was like, okay, Fresno's going to be terrible. Then they turn around and win outright last week. So there is a spot where it can be an overreaction. Just don't know if I'm ready to lay 13.5 with this North Carolina team.
I'm not jumping in. I'm just saying don't be surprised.
Yeah.
And let's face it, they're playing Charlotte.
Sure. Yeah, and Charlotte looked pretty
They're
Watch
not
and
at
learn.
Texas A&M or anything like that.
Watch
They're
and
playing
learn.
Charlotte.
not even playing Duke. I mean,
Right.
it's not a good opponent for sure. All right, Chris, quick hitter on this game because Tulane was one of the more impressive G5 teams last week. Now they go on the road to South Alabama. The market has steamed Tulane the last 24 hours, which I'm going to be honest with you, a little bit surprised by that. From 10.5 to 13 now with a total of 51. This is a pretty vicious look-ahead spot. Tulane has Duke next week.
At the beginning of the year, I told you that was my team. I thought that they were Boise. We had penciled in as the favorite about the non-power fours to make the playoff. But I thought Tulane had a great shot, and I had a big play against them or on them against Northwestern week 1, and they were clearly superior. That being said, I only made this game 7.
Yeah.
I think this number has really taken off. We're at 13 now, and I've even kind of skipped a couple numbers because I saw it going up, and I really like Tulane in general. But boy, that's a lot of points this week. I don't know. I'm not sure this is a great spot for Tulane.
It makes me a little nervous that the steam is going the other way. But I like South Alabama too. I tried to dive in to see why the movement. The only thing I can really find is Retzlaff, of course, came over from BYU, played last week, played fairly well. But now it might be Brendan Sullivan who gets to start. It might be Tulane's actual starting quarterback. I don't know.
Well, if we beat out Retzlaff, he has to be pretty good.
Right.
So-
exactly.
So the Summerall in the press conference said he expects to play both guys this week if Sullivan is healthy. I don't know if that's an upgrade if we're going to Sullivan. That's a little bit interesting to me on that.
Yeah.
13 in this one now with Tulane on the road at South Alabama. All right, let's go to Blacksburg next. Vinny Vatek had their opportunities last week against South Carolina, and then the punt return flipped that game on its head, and South Carolina dominated and covered the rest of the way. We saw this game last year, if you remember, in Nashville.
Yes.
Vatek was a 2-touchdown favorite, and Diego Pavia and company beat him in overtime.
Yep.
Now the return trip, Vatek, they are betting the Hokies from pick to 2 in this game, and a total of 45.5 now after the opener was 47.5.
Yeah, you hit it, Jeff. I mean, they were 13-point dogs last year and pulled the upset. It's this. By the way, this money has come in the last 12 hours, right? I mean, this game was still a pick until last evening, and then overnight, and then into this morning. So, I think Vatek. They were in the game against South Carolina last week for a good part of it, but their turnovers, they just killed them. But I don't know. I don't know where we'll see Vandy money. If the game goes to 3, then I think that's where we'll see Vandy money.
I'd love to see a 3.
Yeah.
Vinny.
I don't blame you, Alex.
I trust Diego Pavia more than I trust Kyron Drones, and we saw that last week against South Carolina. Threw 2 picks, put his team in pretty bad spots. I think they'll have a bounce back and look better. And it is a lesser opponent than South Carolina here with Vandy. But I don't know, getting points here with Diego Pavia. I think I'd take a shot. I'd like to see a 3, though.
I made Tech 1. I have no real opinion here.
My concern with Virginia Tech, as it's been for a few years, I think Pry is a terrible head coach. And that game was even for a long way. And then what caused the punt return? He lined up illegally on the punt. And Beamer had him re-kick, and he set up this great punt return, and the game was completely over. That poorly coached teams do stuff like that, lining up wrong on the punt in a game that's evenly. I never liked him, and he's terrible in close games. So if this game's close, Vandy's probably going to win. If Vatek's going to win this game, they probably have to win by margin, which would mean they cover the 2 with ease. All right, let's go to Baton Rouge next. Chris, we already mentioned that LSU plays Florida next week down in Death Valley. They're 37 against the in-state opponent in La Tech. I mean, LSU has to be one of the teams that is looked at completely different from their week 1 result, where not only do they finally win a week 1 game under Brian Kelly, they physically dominated Clemson up front, which, woo, that is an impressive thing to do, especially in that building.
had a touchdown taken away from
Yeah,
him, too.
could have been 24-10 easily.
It should have been a 2-touchdown margin. Yeah, listen, I like them. I personally made the number 38. But again, this is one of those games where the wise guys have bet the Southern dog playing against, and here you got Louis Tech.
Yeah.
Again, those kids, I'm sure most of them wanted to go to LSU and somehow weren't deemed good enough to do that. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I made the number 38, so I have no real opinion on that, but I can understand how people did bet the dog in this one.
Not surprising, right? The double L spot. Is it a little bit of a letdown and a look ahead? So that's what you're dealing with here.
Yeah, gnarly spot for LSU, but boy, were they were awfully impressive. They all the way down to 12-1 to win the title here at the South Point now, Chris. That's well. Good for the fifth favorite on the board behind just the four short shots of Penn State, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas, the only team shorter than LSU now. And you know what? I actually think 12-1 is still a pretty darn good number on them.
I was going to say, deservedly so. They got the quarterback.
Yep.
Kelly, not my favorite guy as a coach, but he's a winner. He's won.
Yeah, hey, we're awesome last week in that win against Clemson. All right, let's go to East Lansing next. Alex, we saw this matchup last year in Boston, in Chestnut Hill, and it was kind of the game where Bill O'Brien's got it. Yeah. That Florida State win was not a fluke. Now, granted, Florida State ended up being terrible, but we didn't know that at that point a year ago. But now the return trip to East Lansing, both these teams win last week. Michigan State probably should have covered, but didn't. Boston College won by 1 million against an FCS team. 3.5 with Michigan State in this one with a total of 46.
I don't love it. I don't love the fact that BC has to go to a tough environment like this where, you're right, last year they were at home, but they did win that one 23-9. I think that Boston College has the better coach, and I think they have the better quarterback. And I like Jonathan Smith. I like what he did at Oregon State. I tried to back him a few times last year, taking some points, thinking he could really turn this program around. He got a mess. It's going to take some time. I understand that. But Aiden Childs, I just worry about him. Last year's numbers, 13 touchdowns, 11 INTs. On the flip side, we talked about it with Bill O'Brien and letting Castellanos go. And now here comes, he has two quarterbacks. Grayson James stepped in for him last year. He played a little bit last week. And then he also brought over a guy from Bama that was a backup in Dylan Lonergan. 268 yards last week, 4 touchdowns, completed 77% of his passes. I'll take a shot here with the dog getting over a field goal. So I actually got 4, but I still like it at 3.5.
I took 4.5. This game went way up, and I love the dog too. I opened at 2.5. I thought that was. I really had trouble going to 2.5. I made Michigan State a 1-point favorite. I love Bill O'Brien. From his years at Penn State, and he's been a terrific coach. And things didn't quite work out perfectly in Houston, in the NFL. But I think the guy's a hell of a coach, and I'm getting pretty good points here. Even at 3.5, I would take him. But I had 4.5 as an opportunity in a contest, and I took the 4.5.
This is a good, well-coached game here because Jonathan Smith's good too on the other side. I'm not a huge fan of Aiden Childs. I don't think he's that good. It would only be a look to the dog for me.
A guy I really respect, though, told me he thought Michigan State was going to be vastly improved this week.
You mentioned that last week. Yep. Yeah. All right, let's get to some of the bigger games on the card, and we go to Starkville. And this is, Chris, this is a very important spot here for Mississippi State if they're going to avoid being a bottom feeder in the SEC. You get a legitimate top 15 team, a team that almost won a playoff game a year ago, a team with a top-flight quarterback in Sam Levitt. Arizona State whipped it up on Northern Arizona last week, so we can't really say much on that. Mississippi State was pretty impressive in the second half against Southern Miss, in a game that was relatively even for 30 minutes, and then the game ended up not being close. Down to 6.5 here with all the cowbells down in Starkville, with a total of 59 in this one. Of course, Arizona State the favorite.
Kind of like Arizona State here. Made the number a little higher. I made it 9, so it's not not a huge number difference. But you got that number under 7. Again, I didn't play them in anything. I wasn't not crazy about laying points this early in the year on the road. Mississippi State has not been great for a number of years, but still, it's an SEC school, pretty rabid fans down there. I wasn't crazy about laying the points, but I do kind of like the favorite here.
I haven't put in my picks yet. I'm tempted to take the points with Mississippi State, more of a spot grab than anything. I really have it 6, and kind of thought I'd be on Arizona State if it was under 7, because I do think that they're the better team, and we saw it last year. And I do think that Kenny Dillingham has enough for them to still be good. I mean, they have the quarterback, Sam Levitt. Cam Scatterby was awesome for them. Of course, he's with the Giants now. But just as I mentioned, the spot. These two did face each other last year. Going to the Mississippi State, it's going to be crazy in Starkville. So might just be a grab of the number there, but I haven't jumped in yet. I don't know if we're taking too much from the Southern Miss win, because that is a Sun Belt team, and it's a coach that came from the Sun Belt, right? And I was on him last week, taking the 14, but it's like...
I don't think much of Southern Miss, I got to tell you.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know.
They took the 7. I mean, it's not a real surprise. I mean, at home, I mean, you're getting a touchdown in a game, you know, a replay of a game a year ago. So, not a real surprise here. But I think there'll be support for both sides here. I mean, again, probably late. Maybe they'll take 6.5 too. But at some point, there'll be Arizona State money.
I'm just not a big fan of Blake Shapen, the quarterback of Mississippi State. That's my concern in this game, that there'll be one or two massive mistakes that lead to Arizona State points, and it will be hard if Shapen is turning the ball over to stay in this game. I actually kind of like this game over. I don't really love either of these defenses. And with Shapen, maybe Arizona State's defense I don't love could actually score. So it is a big number at 59 for that one in Starkville. All right, we're going where College Game Day is next. Vincennes, boy, what a fun matchup this is. Bryce Underwood's first career road game happens in Norman, Oklahoma against the Oklahoma Sooners. It's 5 now with OU laying it at home. Total low at 43.5. It was an initial take from 6.5 to 5.5, back to 6, but now back to 5 in this one with OU laying it at home.
Looks like the best matchup of the day, really, when you look at it, right? We had all those great matchups last week, and now you've got, you know, both of these teams who. Again, you mentioned it, Jeff. 6.5. We got bet down to up to 5.5, up to 6, and now back down to 5. So up and down the ladder we go. I think this is one of those games where just about everybody's going to get involved. When if you're a professional, you're going to look for a number, right? A 6 or better. And if you're John Q. Public, you're going to be able to see this game on TV, and you're gonna put it in your cards and things. So. But both of these teams, a week ago, well, I mean, they're both coming in off a win. Michigan, they beat New Mexico. They doubled them up, right? 34-17. I mean, Oklahoma, 35-3. I mean, and they got their scrimmages out of the way, and now they face off. So big game for both of these schools.
I made a number 6.5, so I agreed with the opener. Two great traditional schools.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think, again, we talk about it. These are some of the great aspects of college football. Looking forward to this. I have no real opinion in the game. Looks like I'm probably going to be rooting for the favorite. Again, very strong home field. I've been going back and forth for years. Oklahoma, one of the best home field advantages in college football.
4:30 game, 4:30 Pacific,
nighttime,
which is good.
I think it's
glad.
a Herb Street game.
It is. Yep. College Game Day is there. Yep.
Yeah.
I missed the best of the number, but I still like the game under. I think both of these defenses are going to show up, kind of what I hinted at earlier, but Bryce Underwood now makes his first start on the road and has to go to face Oklahoma. So I think it'll be a little tough for him, but we've seen a lot of good things from Michigan's defense, even last year when they had no offense, and Oklahoma too with Brent Venables. I trust his defense. I am a little worried because their quarterback, I can't say his last name.
John Mateer.
Mateer, that's it. He has played a lot of college games, so he might be just fine here in this spot. But
they're pretty high on him.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have my big concerns about Mateer because they didn't play anyone at Wazoo last year. They played a fairly weak schedule, and the one real team they played last year was Boise State, and he was awful in that game. And yeah, the skill position players are better at Oklahoma. This is a home game as opposed to being on the blue turf. I get it, but Michigan's defense is awesome still.
I can tell you, the Oklahoma people love this game.
I know they do. They do. But I don't like that coaching staff either. So I'm going to be on Michigan just to see if we can come back up the ladder a little bit further and take even better price on the money line. I think they're winning this game outright, even though we have our concerns about a kid making his first career start on the road in Underwood. Of course, he played last week against New Mexico. Talent is there. There's no question about that. It's just getting it all honed into one thing. All right, Chris, real quick on this one, because I know you're very high on this team, USC, who is still scoring against Missouri State, beat them by 60. Honestly wasn't even that competitive. Chris, old friend Clay Helton returns. Coach of Georgia Southern. It's 29 in this one, but I'm more intrigued because, Chris, you're very high on USC in your power rankings.
I don't know if we've shown it yet, but I have them a lot higher than most other people. I think they're going to be very good this year. I think they did a lot of good things. They revamped the coaching staff. I think they recruited very well. And we're talking about Texas has 25 million kids. Well, California has 30 million people. They don't all play football like they do in Texas. But I think he has a pretty good squad. And, I'm very high on USC this year. I think that if you're looking for a surprise team, well, hard to think of USC as a surprise team, but they
still
are.
unranked.
They are. But I think that there's a very good team.
They laid 28.
By the way, I made the number 29.
And I don't blame them. I don't
laid
blame
28.
them. You know, the one difference with USC last week as opposed to what we've seen in the Lincoln Riley era, there was no BS last week. They went out there and they just pummeled the team they were supposed to pummel, and they pummeled them with the second stringers in there in the second half. Too.
I think
they have two quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think he realizes they needed a culture change, and from what I've read, what I've heard, that he's certainly tried to implement that.
Speaking of another program that's changed the culture, maybe not in the best of ways, Vinny, last week, of course, Alabama, in what was the earth-shattering result of the week last week, goes to Tallahassee and is a 2-touchdown favorite, loses by 2 touchdowns, and sure looked like Florida State was the 2-touchdown favorite all day after the first drive. Now they play Louisiana Monroe. The bettors are taking Monroe 38-35 in this one now, Vinny.
Well, they're paying attention to what they saw out of Alabama, right? I mean, look, if Florida played LIU, all right, I get it. And again, no disrespect to these programs, but look at the quality of competition. Monroe played St. Francis, and they beat them 29. I mean, there's a difference in the level of competition. And look, Alabama went. Listen, Florida State, they had to change some things, and they did. Give them credit. And Alabama transitioning. I got to tell you, this is a game that they have to have, and they know it. It can't be a look ahead spot, and it can't be it's get things right, and that's why this. Yeah, they took the points. They took 3 points worth of the number, right, from 38 down to 35. There's a reason it's Alabama and it's Monroe.
I'd have the favorite or pass. I mean, this is Monroe, for God's sake. This is not Florida State. And Vinny mentioned St. Francis. I know a kid that coaches it. He's an assistant coach at St. Francis, and he would tell you, we ain't even Monroe. Forget about Alabama.
Yeah.
So
it's a class difference.
Yeah, it's boy, it was. A confirmation bias can be strong when it works in your favor, but everything I said about Ty Simpson last Friday worked out exactly the way I thought.
You nailed that one, yeah.
Sure. Well, that's my concern for Alabama. It shouldn't hurt them here. I mean, if this is a game, then, boy, even with that $70 million buyout, those noises are going to get very
Some of those
loud.
guys are going to start passing the hat to get to that $70 million.
Yeah, so, but 35 on the Tide. All right, one last college game I want to hit here. Alex, your alma mater in action in what is a very intriguing game just down the road from us at Allegiant Stadium. UCLA is a 2.5-point favorite on the road here in Vegas against UNLV. UCLA was awful late Saturday night, got walloped by Utah at the Rose Bowl. UNLV's 2-0, but it hasn't been the most impressive of showings through the first 2 weeks with a 1-score win against Idaho State and then taking full advantage of Sam Houston State's turnovers a week ago down in Houston.
I think we're going to find out a lot about these two teams and find out a lot about Utah, right? Because if UNLV struggles here with UCLA, we're going to know how good Utah really is. I think UNLV has the advantage getting 2 games already in their schedule. I like what I've seen from Calandria. He's completed 77% of his passes, 34 for 44, over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT, but I didn't really like what I saw from Nico on the other side and overthrew a lot of his receivers. Also, I think UNLV can hang with them in the trenches here in this one. So, yes, giving up 52 points already to 2 teams they really shouldn't have, but I think that they'll clean up some things. I like the points here with the home team.
I made it number 2.5.
Right on it. Yeah.
I think there's going to be some points in this game. I mean, they bet it under initially, but it's come back up, and I think it's going to continue to get bet over.
So this is the 5:00 window here in Vegas tomorrow. I have a feeling you guys are going to see a ton of action on this late.
Oh, no doubt.
Tomorrow, where
I hope so.
Maybe we'll see a 3. Maybe we'll see, like Vinny said, higher total. I like the favorite in this game. I really have not liked what I've seen from UNLV. And even though UCLA looked awful last week, UNLV ain't Utah. This might be a really good Utah team.
Yeah.
Time will tell. But
Like I said, I was dead wrong on Utah.
They were
I'm not
awesome last
ashamed
week.
to admit it.
Yeah.
I thought they were very overrated. Man, they were not overrated.
They were
That is
awesome.
a good team.
yeah, that looked like old school Whittingham last week.
It absolutely did. And I did not expect that, but boy, they looked really good.
All right, that's been the college portion of the show. But before we get to the NFL, we got to check in with our friend Joe D'Amico with this week's version of the Collegiate Cup of Joe, coming your way right now.
Hello, sports fans. World champion handicapper, Las Vegas's biggest daily sports bettor, Joe D'Amico. I am excited to be here with my good friends over at the South Point. I have a big college football winner for you this Saturday. Without question, one of the most anticipated matchups in college football this week between number 15 Wolverines, number 18 Sooners. My friends, both teams won their season openers while both teams failed to cover. Remember, this isn't about who wins, it's about who covers. All right, having said that, neither New Mexico nor Illinois State gave either Michigan or Oklahoma too much of a fight a week ago. Now, guys, no doubt in my mind the Wolverines will control the clock and the tempo here with their potent ground attacks, keeping the Sooners' defense on the field. More importantly, the Sooners' offense off of it. When Oklahoma does have the ball, I doubt very much they're going to be able to wear down the Michigan defense with their lackluster running game. Whatever they do is going to have to be wear up top through the air. And let's face it, their opponent's defense is pretty darn good against the pass. He may be just a freshman, and this may be his first big, true road test. But I feel Bryce Underwood, who doesn't make too many mistakes, guys, will be the difference here with his leadership in this matchup as well. Too many points. I'm going to go blue. Take Michigan here and take your bookmakers' money.
There we go. There's Joe D'Amico with his Collegiate Cup of Joe. Don't worry, you'll get one for the road at the end of the show on the National Football League as well from our guy, Joe D'Amico.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good, Alex. Hey, look, Joe's a very entertaining man. He also knows a thing or two about football as well. So love hearing from Joe here on the show. All right, guys, let's go to the NFL. Chris, real quick for last night, Eagles 24, Cowboys 20. Game somehow stays under. It was just, Chris, it was just the second time in the last 30 years that a game that was totaled less than 50 had 40-plus points in the first half and stayed under. So, brutal. If you had the over.
I guess we're living right as bookmakers because that was a miracle.
Well, in Dallas, Chris, wire to wire with the cover. There really was not a ton of sweating with that either.
A couple things. First, I want to say Jalen Hurts, to me, and I love this kid. In college, even you go back to that game where he was benched at halftime, just his presence on that, you could see this is a man. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to Oklahoma. He transfers to Oklahoma. He's there a week, and they elect him captain. He didn't go to Stetson or William and Mary. Went to Oklahoma. They named him captain right away. So that shows you what kind of a person he is. And I can tell you this. I had my questions about him being an NFL quarterback, too. When he was drafted in the second round, I was a little bit surprised. But if you want to win football games, man, I'll tell you, he's right up there with Mahomes and Allen and Burrow and Jackson, anyone you want to say. This kid knows how to win football games. And I'll tell you, if I was an Eagle fan or Eagle
backer,
or in the administration, I think, man, we got the right guy because this kid is good and he can win. And obviously, he won a Super Bowl last year.
And Vinny, they created the perfect system for him too. They run the perfect offense for his skill set, and
that's fine.
You know what? That's a strong organization at play.
Yes, it is.
Just unbelievable from the top down.
Like any business, the end product is a direct reflection of ownership/management. The Eagles are that.
Yep.
Yeah.
To Chris's points, everything you
One
said.
more thing I want to throw in there. the run when the Eagles got down, I think we're at the 12, so it wasn't first and goals, first and 12. They run the ball, and of course Sanders fumbles. But as soon as I saw them hand it off, I was sitting with my wife. I said, "That's a terrible call. I hate the run in that situation because unless he gets 9 yards, it's an absolute wasted down.
Sure.
You're in that close. You're probably not going to run the ball in. Like I said, unless
More
you gain
likely
9,
than not, no, yeah.
you have to throw the ball." And it wasn't first and goal. First and goal when they run from the 9 or 10, I want to kill the coach. Depends on who I need.
Yeah.
But I needed Philly last night, so that was just a terrible call right away.
It's interesting. Other than that, I thought Schottenheimer was much better than I thought he was going to be last night. He managed to clock well at the end of the half, but that was.
I didn't like
Chris.
that call. I did not like that call. And forget the result, the fumble, and all that. I did not like that call.
That's not hindsight 2020. I'm with you on that, Chris. All right, let's go to tonight. Let's go to Brazil. Sao Paulo, the site for Kansas City and L.A. Chargers, again, that big Rashawn Slater injury in the offseason makes them have to revamp the offensive line, move Alt to the left. Chris, 2.5 was the opener, stayed there until August 5th, moved to 3, has stayed there for the past month and is still there right now. The total's been bet up another point here today to 47.5 now.
I like the Chargers a lot in this spot.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this, and we say this pretty much every year, that you bet against the team that lost the Super Bowl. And every year it comes up, this year's going to be different. This year's different. I'll tell you what, we could throw out a few exceptions. It's not 100%. But usually that team that lost the Super Bowl is going to have a big come down the next year. We know that and I don't believe in voodoo handicapping, saying it's going to be, they had all the luck and now the luck goes against them. But the thing is, I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. We have a lot of competition in the AFC, an awful lot, even within their own division. The wise guys have bet under on the season win totals, and I think they're dead right. I think Kansas City at the end of the day at the end of the season, is going to have a very disappointing season compared to what we're looking at. And like I said, every year we hear the same thing. This year's different. Well, I don't think this year is different. I think we could start tonight. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
Revamped offensive line, right, for the Chiefs, especially on the left side.
Josh Simmons takes over. Yep.
I think that's certainly going to be a work in progress. Chargers with their injuries, we know that. Look. I just hope the field's in better shape than it was a year ago. Remember Jordan Love's injury a year ago.
I hope
the players, the players were complaining about the field condition. So, but again, look, these games have been up this week. One is so highly wagered for two key reasons. A, the fact that these numbers have been up for several months, but also people have been clamoring for football, and they're going to get involved with all of these games, like last night, especially these primetime games tonight. So holding steady at 3. Not real surprised either that the number, the total's gone up. Will it continue to go up? Quite possibly. Again, folks, the public loves points. So no real surprise that this number's that this total's gone up.
So, these international games, especially in division international games, are a little bit of a funky handicap. If Kansas City has a down year, which it's funny, what do we look at a down year for Kansas City? 10-7.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
tough division.
Yeah,
right?
tough division. All these teams. The Raiders are vastly improved. Denver was the biggest surprise in the NFL just about a year ago, and the Chargers have a top flight coach in Jim Harbaugh, and we'll see here tonight at 3.
By the way, Rice is suspended.
Yes, no Rashee Rice for the first
Chiefs.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
For Kansas City. All right, let's go to Sunday, guys.
Tough stretch, too.
Before we go to Sunday completely, Chris. We're gonna get through 25K here.
Oh well, no doubt. I think I checked this morning. We were $60 short.
Oh,
so
right,
we're going to fly through that. I know you put the number up at 32,000. We got a dollar bet. I bet over that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Anyway, we've usually been between 32 and 37, something like that. So we'll see how it comes out this weekend. But I don't want to guarantee the 25. That's all I'm guaranteeing. But it will be an overlay, and the money all goes back to the players. We don't keep a penny for administration or printing or anything. It all goes back to the players.
10 a.m. games is when it starts on Sunday. Jets and Steelers are the first one on the board, which we'll get to in a second. 15 total picks. It's 14 winners, no point spread, and the total on Sunday Night Football, which again, I like that you moved off of Monday night. Now it's just you only have to if you somehow have a chance by the end of Sunday, you can just hedge with either the Bears or the Vikings, whoever you didn't pick.
Made it a lot easier hedging wise. And listen, the Sunday night game.
$5.
Is there a better game than that Sunday night game?
100. This week, no. There's not a better game than that Sunday night game, which we'll get to later. $5 a card, as many as you want. Get them in often and early to begin off this weekend. All right, let's go to New York first. Aaron Rodgers makes his triumphant return to the Meadowlands. Boy, what a statement that I just uttered. But it's the other quarterback as well playing against his former team. Justin Fields, Steeler a year ago, week 1 starter here for the Jets. Rodgers, of course, did not play in the preseason at all for Pittsburgh. They did get the TJ Watt deal all squared away, even though a little weird stuff going on with Hayward this week.
Very weird.
Which is bizarre. Jets also had a big injury in practice this week. Their starting right guard and their best lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker, for the second time in 3 years, ruptured a tricep or triceps. So his season is over before it even starts. Chris, this was at 3 basically the whole summer, and then about a week and a half ago, it moved to 2.5 and has been steady there. Also, the lowest total on the board in week 1 at 38.
All that makes sense.
Yep.
Perfect.
I made the number 2.5. I mean, at 3, to me, it'd be a one-way play. You either take it or pass. 2.5, I guess that would lean towards the favorite, but I've always said you're supposed to take the 2.5s. Obviously, you look for a 3, but if the game's sitting at 2.5, usually means a dog. If the game's 3.5, you probably want to play the favorite. And boy, last year that really worked out well. I can tell you that. I have no opinion here, but 2.5 sounds like the right price. Under looks like probably, what are we at with the total?
38.
38. I'm not a totals guy. I probably would have guessed 37, but I think this is going to be a tight game. And either way, no opinion for me.
First of all, I'm glad you said that about you're supposed to take the 2.5, because Jeff probably remembers too. I ended up taking a lot of 2.5s for my last man standing last year in the NFL and made it pretty far. So we'll see.
Yeah, you did okay.
Did okay. Well, that wasn't. I was second to last year.
Oh,
got knocked out. There's 5 of us though, but we'll try again. The Vera Tucker thing makes this a little more interesting. I was really ready to take the dog here in this one. I do think the Steelers are slightly better, and of course, because they've had Tomlin there for so long, so there's more stability. But I do think the Jets are a little underrated coming into this year. I like their win total over. I do too. I think they can definitely get 6 or 7 wins this year, and excited to see what they do with Justin Fields and Breece Hall. Let's see if they can get Breece Hall finally going. I mean, he's had such high expectations, so that helps having a running quarterback like that. So I'm going to pass, but it would be dog or pass, and I worry about the injury with the guard.
Interesting, right? Even though they're non-contact during practices, the Jets had to go against Rodgers, right? And the Steelers had to go against Fields. And the Steelers with the better defense. But I think the Jets, frankly, with the younger quarterback, probably may have the advantage there. But I think this game is going to continue to toggle. Lay 2.5 with the Steelers and take 3 with the Jets.
This is going to be a very ugly football game. Aaron Rodgers, since 2021, over the last 4 years in week 1, his only win is the game he ruptured his Achilles in and only threw 1 pass. The other 3 games, he's completed less than 65% of his passes, and he's thrown 4 interceptions as opposed to 1 touchdown for a guy who doesn't throw interceptions historically. So he's been really rough early in week 1 the last 4 years. With that said, this feels like one of 2 things happens here. Either the Steelers win gigantic and Rodgers has a huge game and it's same old Jets and all that nonsense, or Aaron Glenn's changed the culture quickly and it's a low-scoring, ugly game that the Jets find a way to win. I think this is whoever you like to win the game, just take them on the money line. Don't even mess around with a point spread. Just either money line to $1.50 with the Steelers or take the +30 with the Jets. That would be the only way I'd look to play it. Lean to the home team, but boy, I've seen this before, where someone comes back and plays the Jets and just destroys them in the outing against them.
I would say this too. I thought Robert Saleh was going to change the Jets
it didn't work.
mantra too, but it didn't.
Didn't work. All right, this is one of the more intriguing games that a lot of people I don't know if are paying attention to, and this is Indianapolis hosting Miami. And Vinny, there's been an offseason where it feels like everyone hates the Dolphins. It just feels like everyone, including me, just does not like the Dolphins. But historically speaking, when Tua Tagovailoa has been healthy with Mike McDaniel as the coach, their offense has been good, especially against average opponents. I can't think of a more average opponent than the Indianapolis Colts here in week 1. It's a pick. It's toggled. We've had both teams have been a favorite at one point or another, and the total's 47.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of folks aren't saying nice things about the Colts this year, this offseason either, right? So I don't know if you call this the anti-bowl or what, but you know that's why you saw both sides to be slight favorites, and again, your total being bet over, right? 47. It opened at 46, so it's still an NFL game, and it's still week 1, and that's why if you look at it, every one of these games, and you say, wow, it's really not that attractive on paper, they're going to get action, and they've gotten action for the last several months. So, but to your point, too, though, the key with the Dolphins is going to be Tagovailoa. Can he stay healthy?
Well, I've been saying it for a while that there's about 1/3 of what we're assuming right now to be proven 1,000,000% wrong by the end of the year. To me, the Dolphins are that, and I'm with you guys. I do not think much of the Dolphins. What are my win total? I think about 7.5.
7.5
seems okay. Yeah. But I mean, that could be a surprise team. Sure. I mean, everybody's down on them. That's you go against the public, and I know I've talked to a couple of wise guys. Every one of them is against the Dolphins. But like Vinny made the joke too. It's not like they clamoring all over the Colts either. Sure. Maybe the Colts wind up 10-7 and get into the playoffs. But I think this is two teams we're probably going to be dead wrong on. Meanwhile, all that said, I made the number 1.5 Colts just given the home field advantage, but I would not touch this game.
I made the Dolphins 1 here. I'm not going to touch it either. But if you made me play it, I would play the Dolphins. And they find ways to win these low scoring. I say low scoring, and they used to have the dynamic, great offense. But the last year or so, and Tua with the injuries, because their defense is top 10, and nobody really talks about that enough with Miami, but they do have a pretty good defense. Now, they did make some changes, and I think they may have actually gotten worse than they were last year, but we'll find out. And I'll start here in this one against Daniel Jones, who is the starting quarterback here for the Colts. So weapons, quarterback, whether you like to or not, I mean, I think we have the advantage offensively with the Dolphins, and I think defensively too. So I like the road team here, and it is funny, though, because, I mean, nobody's really picking anyone in that division but the Bills, but nobody even has the Dolphins sneaking in the playoffs or anything, so it'll be interesting.
They're one of my favorite underplays on the win total for the year, but I do like them here in this game. I just there are not many teams who had a worse offseason in Indianapolis. The fact that the guy you used the 3rd overall pick on just 2 years ago is getting benched for Daniel Jones, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign for where your franchise is at. So I like.
And the owner died, by the way.
Oh, and yes, and Irsay passed away during the offseason as well. But
and say what you want, he was the players loved this guy. Loved him.
He was a good owner.
He was a good owner.
No arguing that for sure. You can take other swipes at him, but definitely not that. All right, now let's go to the Battle of the Cats in Jacksonville. Panthers and Jaguars. Jags are 3.5, Chris. Total 46.5. You guys opened this 2.5, and they bet through the key number of 3 here in this one.
Well, I raised it pretty quick because I made the number 3.5. So, right now we're not in too bad a shape, but we'll probably need the dog here. I don't know. I mean, the Jags, put them on the list too. That could be a surprise team. Carolina, I mean, I know last year a lot of the sharp guys bet the season win totals over last year. Not getting that this year. Matter of fact, they're mostly on the under, but could you get some improved quarterback play? I don't know. I'm not so sure. I'm not too high on either one of these teams, but I do think the Jags, with a new coach, maybe Trevor Lawrence finally lives up to 75% of his potential. And if he does, then this could be, a 9-10 win team. Again, kind of a weak division.
I like the dog.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Al.
I like the dog in this spot. And I'll probably take a little on the money line, too. I think we're just giving a little bit too much credit to Liam Cohen, who hasn't done anything yet as a head coach. And he has 2 coordinators that have never called plays in the NFL. Both of them called plays at Boston College, but, it's a lot different here. So I just think there's so much new in this one team that it's just putting a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence to carry this team. And then I think that, the Travis Hunter hype with where he's going to be playing might be adding into this, that Jacksonville's just going to all of a sudden be good again. But I'm not buying it yet. They'll have to prove it to me. So I'll take the Panthers. Dave Canales has been there now for a few years. He's got Bryce Young. We saw a good second half. We'll see if they can do it again here in this first game.
I think you may get a better price, Alex, because I think it's going to, the public is betting. I don't know if it's so much betting on the Jags in this game. They're betting against the Panthers. So I think, that's what we're seeing so far. So if you're looking and, for the Panthers, you may see 4. But I don't see it really going back down.
No,
Otherwise,
I think you're right.
I think they would have grabbed the 3.5 already. So.
These defenses are terrible. That's all I'm going to throw out there. Both of these defenses are terrible. Now, I don't know how good Jacksonville's offense is going to be right away with Cohen. We have to also figure out, was what Bryce Young did in the back end of last year real? Because he was quite good the last 8 weeks after getting benched and really just honestly embarrassed with the way the benching went down. But these defenses, they're 2 of the bottom 6 defenses to me. I think that total that is starting to get bet up a little bit at other shops. I think that total is too low. I like to go over
46.5.
Yeah, I think we're going to get both teams in the high 20s in this game, and we zoom over the total with 2 awful defenses. Don't make me pick a winner. I have no idea. If you told me Carolina won this game, I wouldn't be shocked. If you told me Jacksonville won by 2 touchdowns, wouldn't be shocked either.
Well, also, and as always, but check the injury reports, because before I just went on my rant, looking into it yesterday, Panthers do have a couple question marks on their O-line, which could be scary for them and for that over there.
Let's go to Washington next. Giants, we've talked about it all offseason. Talent's better, but the schedule's horrible. It's one of the hardest schedules we've ever seen going into a year. Commanders, of course, magical run to the conference final a year ago. Chris, they betted from 7 down to 6 on this game, with the Commanders favored in a total of 45.5.
This is the wise guy play. They're on the dog, and I could see why. And that's, it would be one of my plays too. I like the Giants here. When I originally liked them, I thought, boy, I'm going to, kind of stand alone. And then, of course, the wise guys came in on it too. But again, it was one of those deals where, again, speaking for like a general consensus of the smart guys that I've talked to, Washington is going to come back to earth a little bit this year. Won a lot of close games last year. And again, I'm not into the voodoo handicapping that everything evens out, because it doesn't, in all honesty. But I think in this case, people are going to be looking at Daniels, and defensive coordinators are going to study a lot of film, because, listen, the kid looks great. I mean, I can't take anything away from him. But, these defensive coordinators, they're all making like, what, $1.5 million, $2 million a year. They've been working their butts off to try to figure out a way to stop this kid. And I think Dayball's a very good coach. 2 years ago, we had him heading to Canton, and last year things fell apart. But I think he built this team. The resurgence, if we're going to get a resurgence of the Giants, it was built in the trenches, and that's the way. That's the way football's played. You got to be strong at the line of scrimmage, and I think he recognized that. I think this team will be better at the line of scrimmage, particularly with Abdul Carter on the defensive line.
It's a lean to the dog for me as well. I just worry that while I do think the Giants are going to be better this year, and I think the Commanders could take a small step back, I still think they'll be about a 9-10 win team. I don't know if we've gone a little bit too far there. I am right there at the number 7, so it'd almost be kind of stretching to even take the points here with the dog. But I think Kingsbury, that duo, with Daniels. I think they'll be okay. Of course, have film
they're
on
very
them,
good,
so you
yeah.
don't know. But I'm probably just going to pass now that everybody is on the Giants, and we were talking about them
That
early
scares
on.
me.
Real quick, just injuries you mentioned in the last game. Andrew Thomas is doubtful, so they hope to get him back for week 1. Doesn't look good. And Neighbors didn't practice today with a back injury. So there's no designation on Neighbors. So I guess that maybe just a routine day off on a Friday is a little bit bizarre, but that is something to monitor here in this game.
Well, the Giants had, like 10 quarterbacks in camp over the summer?
14.
And so, look, this will be, even though the Commanders are going to be in just about every public teaser, it'll be one of the few favorites we're going to need this weekend.
I am very interested to see just how Russell Wilson looks. That really is interesting to me because if this goes poorly for the Giants quickly, we're going to see Jackson Dart sooner rather than later, especially with how well he played in the preseason. Hey, Russell's playing for to avoid his NFL extinction at this point. That's essentially where he's at. So that's what I'm looking forward to this game. I'm not sure how many people are actually looking at that, but that's what I'm intrigued by, to see how Russ plays again, facing his career mortality at this point. All right,
He's going to need Malik Neighbors, that's for sure.
that just popped up today with a back injury. Didn't practice for Neighbors. Shout out to our guy Sean Higgs. Thank you for the super chat as always.
Good man.
Dean in there as well. Thank you guys as always in the chat, and especially for the super chat there, Sean. All right, let's go to the Battle of Ohio. Well, we got a lot of narratives in this game, right? Joe Burrow and Cincinnati can't win week 1. The Browns have the most bizarre quarterback room of all time. Joe Flacco is still somehow starting in week 1 in 2025. The total is 48, which is one of the higher totals on the board this week, Chris. 5.5, quickly touched 6, went back to 5.5 with the Bengals laying it on the road. And again, I mentioned that 48 total has been banged up from the opener of 45.5.
I don't know. I kind of lean towards dog here, but I made the number 5.5. And that's pretty much the consensus right now. I don't know. I mean, that would be one of those games. If I was going to bet on it, I think the second I'd bet it, I'd have buyer's remorse, no matter if I bet favorite or dog. I think it's a really tough game. Kind of lean towards the dog, but nothing it's set in concrete.
It feels a little bit like LSU, right, where Brian Kelly cannot win the first game of the season. It's been talked about so much here with the Bengals. They played in the preseason games. I think they'll be ready. I think this is the year that the Bengals can get it done and win week 1. So I've got a little bit higher. I've got them 7 here on the road against the Browns. I'm not very high on Cleveland going into the year with all the question marks. I am curious to see what the offense looks like with Flacco and Jerry Jeudy coming over. But, I mean, Bengals, that's the way I'd play it.
Pros will bet the home dog. They'll look for 6 again or more, depending on how the wagering goes this evening and tomorrow. And public will be on the Bengals for week 1 as they often are. But Jeff, you hit it too. I mean, the total on the game 48. People are anticipating points in this one. By the way, Sean Higgs, who's listening, he did take the Jets in his survivor pool this week.
In his survivor pool?
He just texted.
Game theory.
He just said,
there we go.
Oh, man.
Game theory.
I took the Jets in Circa Survivor and took him in August when he was here. Remember, Chris, he was here visiting us.
Yeah.
So
He's a
always
good guy.
appreciate.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him. Love Higgs.
I have one look on this Battle of Ohio game real quick. I think there's going to be a ton of offense in this game. And even at the worst of the number, I do like it over. But I want to take Joe Flacco props. I want to take the good and I want to take the bad with Flacco. I think Flacco is going over 300 yards in this game, passing wise, because I think the Browns are going to have to chase. You can get about 3-1 on that in alternate lines. I also think Joe Flacco is going to throw 2 interceptions in this game. So you could take Flacco to throw 2 interceptions at 2-1.
By the way, we will have props and parlayable props.
Yep,
and I'm not sure.
Right in front of us.
We have them already?
Got them right here.
Look at you.
Yep.
Okay. I've been busy this morning. I haven't had a chance to look.
Yep, we got
You
it.
got anything on there?
Not on Flacco.
No?
Not on Flacco, but DK Metcalf shot in the Jet game of Jamar Chase is on here as a parlayable anytime touchdown at -135. All those on a parlayable props have to be parlayed. They cannot be taken individually here at the South Point. But I think we're going to get the good, bad, and ugly from Joe Flacco in this game. And that's kind of what Joe Flacco's turned into at his point in his career, right? Like even the comeback player of the year season 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Flacco was basically by the end of the year, throwing 4 touchdowns and 3 picks a game. So I think we're going to get a lot of that. And I think Cleveland's going to be chasing this game as well. So I'm willing to take the good, the bad, and the ugly Flacco props here in this one.
Interesting.
You know what? The Bengal defense has to be a little bit better, but can't be that much better, right? Like they were as bad as anyone on defense a year ago. New defensive coordinator Al Golden goes from Notre Dame to the Bengals.
Golden is a good coach.
Yes, Golden's a great coordinator.
Yes.
Regardless of what level.
High on the Bengals for this year.
I am too. Yes.
No, I know you are.
Yeah.
Are they going to win game 1?
I think they'll win, but I think it's going to be. I think they're going to get up big, and I think it's going to be one of those where if you laid the 5.5 and it's like, really, are we about to blow a 2-touchdown lead on the cover? And Flacco's driving at the end, down by 10, trying to get in the back door, something like that. I think is going to end up being the case.
It's a Tums game, is what you're saying.
Aren't all of them Tums games for the most part, though?
There's quite a few.
At this rate, especially in the NFL, where they're all
I know we
close.
go through them pretty good. Yeah. I had to take one the other night.
Going to do some commercials this year.
Oh, man. Actually, you know what? Guys would be great advertisers for
Vinny?
for Tums.
Let's look into that.
Yeah, there we go. Get the agent on it.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's
Listen,
go.
I got Robert De Niro sitting right here. Let's do something with that.
A little bit.
Let's go to Foxborough next. This is interesting.
And Vinny, wait, excuse me. I could be Don Rickles, like in the in that casino.
Oh,
That's
boy.
great.
Let's, these are two teams. This is a really interesting week 1 game because I know Alex and I were super high on the Raiders, and the market seems to be super high on New England this year. But, this is the classic toggler here, 2.5, 3. Sorry, Vinny.
No, you're not.
No, well, again, I'll get to my pick on this game in a second. But, Chris, what an interesting game week 1. Yeah. Whole new regimes for both teams.
Right, yeah.
New quarterback in Vegas. Drake May in year 2 with high expectations. Really fascinating game for two teams that hope to be in the playoffs this year.
I love Matt Vrabel. When the Steelers drafted him, I loved him. They cut him. I was sick about it. Went on to have a great career at New England. I think he's a terrific coach. Man, listen, I made the game too. I think the Raiders are going to be vastly improved. I think they did a lot of really good things. Of course, so did New England.
Yeah.
But, I guess this is definitely not going to be one of my plays, but gun to my head, I would be looking to take the 3 in this game. It is a toggler, but it is the 2.5, 3 togglers. You're probably better off taking the 3. That's what I would look to do. But I think both these teams are vastly improved, and this is one of the more interesting games of the day.
I like the Raiders here in this one. I will definitely be taking the points. I'll shop around and get the 3. I'm also going to take a little bit on the money line. I think they can win this team outright. Both of them did do a lot, but I love the fact that Pete Carroll gets Geno Smith back after he didn't even have a down year. His yards and passing completion, everything was up, but the interceptions were also up. So the offense really struggled. He still found a way to lead his team to 10 wins, comes over here, bring in Chip Kelly, highest paid offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Draft Ashton Genty, they were worst in rushing. So let's put it all together, see what we get. Now, question marks on the defense, but
We still got Crosby.
I still got Crosby.
And he's healthy again.
Yeah.
And they have Patrick Graham, who is still there, who knows Josh McDaniels very well, who's running the offense for the Patriots. Yeah. So I like the Raiders here.
Yeah, a lot of support for the Raiders in the futures. But typically we get that.
That's every year.
Which it's always been a Raider town. One of the higher handle games of the 10 o'clock spot too. So everybody's getting involved in this game. Should be a good one.
What a fun! This is a really fun week 1 game. Cross country trip for Vegas too. Yeah. Don't love that, but I don't think any team this offseason has improved more with their coaching staff than the Las Vegas Raiders did. And by the time that Carroll left Seattle, I thought the game had passed them by, but game passed them by Pete Carroll. A monster improvement over Antonio Pierce. Yeah. Chip Kelly, monster improvement what's been there the last few years, calling plays.
Listen, Chip Kelly is a hell of an offensive coordinator and play caller. And I don't know. I mean, I don't see Pete Carroll's a strategist so much as
Motivator.
Listen, he's a motivator, and he is. Listen, the guy's won. He won at USC. He's won at Seattle. The guy, he was not a good coach with New England or with the Jets, but he figured it out. He learned, and I think he's like you said, just a vast improvement.
He's an
over
adult.
What they had.
They have an adult in the room running it.
They needed that. Yeah. They needed that.
And also, too, they improved a ton of quarterback because Geno Smith is better than anything that played there a year ago. I like the Raiders outright. I think if the Raiders were in any other division in the AFC, they would make the playoffs.
Yeah,
they just are in the wrong division.
They're probably the fourth best team in that division.
The AFC West is brutal all the way through. All right. Well, now for something a little bit different, guys. Let's go to New Orleans. And the worst quarterback in my book playing this week is Spencer Rattler, and he's getting the start for the Saints. A good draw for Arizona to get out of the gate. Yeah, you got to go on the road playing a tough place historically, but you're playing a quarterback who I'm stunned is starting week 1 here. And the market is bet Arizona. The question is, how high is too high are we going to get here, Chris? 4.5 to 6.5 on the Cardinals at the Superdome, and a total of 43 now in this game.
Like most people, I have the Saints penciled in as the worst team in the NFL.
I do as well.
But who the hell are the Cardinals?
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, to me, and this isn't even a number play. It's just, why are the Cardinals? And, we talk about quarterbacks, and I know I'm very biased. I like the big quarterbacks. Murray he's a peanut out there, and I've said it. He'll have the best highlight reel in the NFL by the end of the year. Give me a Jalen Hurts, who's had, what do you have, like 150 yards passing or something like that last night. His highlight reel is making first downs and winning games. Murray's going to be all over the field and dancing and doing all this. I'm telling you, I definitely like New Orleans in this game. I think this number is just, I don't want to say the number's ridiculous, but like I said, who the hell is Arizona to be a touchdown favorite on the road? I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, really, it would be a number grab for me if I did jump in here. I would rather see Tyler Shuck out there than Spencer Rattler. I think we saw a lot of him last year and enough of him last year stepping in for Derek Carr, but maybe they saw something this offseason and maybe he improved a little bit.
I think it'll be easier to go from Rattler to Shuck than to go from Shuck to Rattler, and I think right. Kellen Moore, we don't know how good of a coach he's going to be. He's been a hell of an offensive coordinator, but maybe he's the next Vince Lombardi. Who knows? But, I think this team's going to be ready, and like I said, I'd like them covering this number. I
feel like they're a scary survivor ruiner in the first week, too. A lot of people are going to take a shot.
There's always one.
Well, it's them and it's always scary taking road teams in Survivor in week 1. And the Cardinals and the Bengals, I think, are going to be heavily used, even though I think everyone's learned their lesson with the Bengals in week 1 now after the last few years, hopefully. But those could be 2 heavy selections here on the road in week 1. And again, Vinny, 6.5 on the road is a monster number for a Cardinal team that's not a projected playoff team going into the year.
Don't be shocked if you see 7 on this game.
I agree with you.
Guarantee you would see 7 if it was an afternoon game. It's a play against the Saints. How many? But listen, I don't know. The Cardinals may be a surprise this year. I'm going to be a little different than Chris on this one. Well, how many playoff teams did they beat last year?
Well, and one other thing, too,
right?
Vinny.
On the road, even. But let's remember that they beat the Ravens. They beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. This team, they love to play for this coach.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they're going to continue to get play.
Well, and the one other thing I will say with Arizona, historically speaking, in the Murray era, it doesn't matter if it's Kingsbury or Gannon. We'll throw out Gannon's first year where we thought they might have been the worst team of all time, and they actually ended up being just a regular bad team.
I like Gannon.
Yeah, but historically speaking, in this Murray era, they get out fast, and then they fade because of what you said, of that Murray starts getting hit too much, runs out of gas. It gets hurt, exactly. But, boy, again, Arizona 8.5 on the win total, juice to the over.
Another good draft.
Yeah.
Good weapons.
McBride's a great tight end.
Could be dangerous. By the way, the Broncos are going to be a survivor play this week,
I
too.
think they will be the number. They will likely be the number 1 survivor play. We'll get to them in a few moments. But let's go to the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Alex, I can clap for myself. I do not have a bet on this game, thank goodness.
Not yet.
No. At least on the side, I don't have a bet. I may bet the total. Chris, you actually just took some action down to 1.5 from 2 on this game now with Tampa. Wild movement, but back to the opener. Total bet down from 49 to 47 on this one.
Yeah, I made the number 1.5. I actually kind of like both these teams. I think Tampa Bay, kind of sneaky, solid team, since Bowles has been there. And, of course, Mayfield. And I think it's a sneaky team. Now, that being said, I think Atlanta, I love Penix coming out of college. Was surprised he got drafted, of course, because they already had Cousins. But, there's another kid. I mean, does he have that second year kind of come back to the pack? He might. But I think they did a lot of good things, particularly on offense. I think they'll be pretty good. I made the number 1.5. I have no strong opinion here. I think it should be a good game.
Well, to your point, not that much film on him yet in the NFL. He didn't get to play that many games, right?
Yeah.
How many? 5?
5, yeah.
6. So
Yeah.
I am excited to see what we get from their offense. I mean, we've been talking about the Falcons, Bijan Robinson, and, Pitts, this offense for so long. So let's see what they can do here with Michael Penix. But I love Tampa Bay. I think they're going to be a great regular season team, and I think they could stack up a lot of wins. That's my favorite win total, over 9.5 for Tampa
Beautiful.
Bay. Yeah.
Mayfield's a warrior.
So they need this.
You talk about a guy that just finds a way to just keep battling. And now that said, I think the Falcons are going to be a home. I think we're going to continue to see Falcon money as we get closer to kickoff. So that as a home dog, these two teams they play some entertaining games in the last couple of years. So. But you'll see some continued support, I think, for the Falcons in Week 1 at home.
Falcons did sweep Tampa last year.
Yes,
we kind of forget that because of what ended up happening down the stretch for Atlanta. But those were 2 Kirk Cousins games that Atlanta swept a year ago, including that bizarro one on a Thursday night where Tampa fumbled the ball when they were running the clock out or whatever. It was some nonsense in that one. But boy, Alex and I talked about Tampa all offseason that as long as the fact that Mayfield has a third different play caller in 3 years, because Canales, of course, the head coach in Carolina, Cohen, the head coach in Jacksonville now, Josh Grizzard is now the play caller for Tampa. As long as that doesn't impact them, both Alex and I think the Bucs have a legitimate path to the number 1 seed in the NFC just because of an easy schedule.
Yeah, they do have that.
In a weak division.
Good offensive line, good receivers.
This is also a game where I think the defenses are both not good either. So maybe look to the over in this one. All right. Vinny, you mentioned this a moment ago with Denver being a popular survivor pick, and they probably will be the most popular one here in Week 1. They're 8.5-point favorites against the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward making his NFL debut here in Week 1. Alex and I talked about all offseason long that Denver's defense may very well be the best one in the NFL. Chris, total is 42.5, and you also got Mile High early in the year working against the Titans here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 teams this week with my highest power rating for home field. Denver's one of them, and we'll get to the other one later. I made the number 9, so not a huge play, but, I mean, I don't know. That's very tempting to play them on a teaser or in your survivor or on the money line. But, boy, we see it every year. Something jumps up and bites you in the ass on those lock survivor plays. But, we've read a lot of good things about Cam Ward. Everybody's really high on him, and he's probably about the most under-publicized number 1 pick that I can remember in a long, long time. So maybe they do surprise a few people, but I'm going to have to see it first. As a gun to my head, I'd probably lay the 8, but I wouldn't be crazy about laying big points here.
I think he will be good. I do think it will translate to the pros here, but I love Denver. I actually have them upsetting Kansas City this year and winning that division, but Kansas City, small step back, kind of like you were talking about. 10 wins is a step back for them, but we'll see. It does make me nervous that this is definitely going to be the number 1 pick. I made him about 10 here, though, so should take care of business. The thing is, let's see how it works out. Kind of a weird collection for Cam Ward, right? Calvin Ridley's over there. Tyler Lockett comes over from Seattle. We'll see how everything meshes. Tony Pollard is, so we'll see. But Bo Nix could have a slow start. You never know.
You might see your 10. This is an afternoon game with all this carryover.
There's a good chance.
From starting last night, this number is going to go up before it comes back. I can tell you that, no doubt.
I think this is the teaser position of the week, right? Take Denver from 8.5 to 2.5
today.
You got to do it right now, as Vinny just said. You got to do it right now. I could see this getting very high. I'm just concerned about how and Chris, you're right. We've heard nothing about Cam Ward this whole offseason. Not even the betting favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know Genty's looked at as this mega running back prospect, but usually when the number one overall pick's a quarterback and he's starting from the get-go, he's almost always the favorite in that market, and he's not. So that's the only concern. It's been too quiet with Cam Ward going into the year, and there's been a lot of hype on Denver, and I think that hype is deserved on the Broncos.
Well, I think that's all deserved. The Cam Ward, I mean, there's a reason he was a number one pick. He looked really good last year.
He was awesome last year, yeah. All right, let's go to the next one, and we're already starting with the Christian McCaffrey nonsense again. So the Niners on the road at Seattle. We're down to 1.5 in this game after you guys opened at 1.5, got up to 2.5, and now we're back down to the opener. The total's down 2.5 points, but yesterday, out of nowhere, Christian McCaffrey pops up on the injury report with the exact same injury that cost him a good chunk of last year, Chris. And boy, the Niners just don't have the depth they used to have. And if McCaffrey, let's say who knows, McCaffrey could suit up and be totally fine, but that's alarming that this is happening again. Because remember last year going into Monday night, it was Monday morning. And Christian McCaffrey got ruled out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, well, that's something we didn't even know the whole offseason.
I know. The kid is so good. I mean, he's probably, I don't know, no worse than the third best running back in the NFL when he's healthy.
When he's healthy, he's the best, other than Henry.
I just don't remember when that is that he's been healthy. I lowered it. We had it at 2.5 when I got the McCaffrey news. I went to 2 pretty much on air because before that, I liked 3 is the number I made on the game because I do think the Niners are going to be very good and improved, and I like a lot of things. You talk about their organization. I think they have a really strong organization. But boy, the McCaffrey stuff just scares the hell out of me. Like I said, I made it 3 legitimately, but he's got to mean at least a point if he's out. He got to be at least that. So I'm running 2 right now, and I guess we'll have to see what happens come closer to game time.
This is a complete stay away from me. With that news or without that news, I just don't know what we're getting from Sam Darnold now here with the new offense. And there has been a lot of hype on Seattle, and I don't know. I want to see how they look. I do believe in their defense, so maybe this is a look to the under here with both offenses kind of starting out slow. But, yeah, really nothing on the side.
McCaffrey, a couple of years ago, because I'm going to throw last year out, although he's an important part. He's one of, if not the most impactful non-quarterback to the number when you think about it. All right, so but the inconsistency with when he's in the lineup or not is difficult. To certainly for bettors, and here we are trying to you're booking these games and you can only go by the action. But the reaction came in on the Seahawks. No Ayuk, right, for the Niners.
It'll be a while until we see him again.
Now you got Darnold in Seattle. Some hype, Alex. You mentioned it. I think particularly defensively, but both receivers, their 2 best receivers, are no longer there either. Right, the 2 top receivers, they're gone. So, kind of an interesting game. In again, you don't have to bet every game. This may be a game to observe and see what you're getting with both of these teams. Hopefully McCaffrey does play, so you get a good look at the Niners. But again, they're not going to be complete, especially with no Ayuk.
My biggest concern with San Francisco is what I said in the open. I don't like their depth anymore. They were deep on offense. They don't have it anymore. They're not even that deep on defense now. Robert Saleh's back as the defensive coordinator. That's a good sign because they were a mess on defense even before all the injuries happened. But they need McCaffrey around.
Debo Samuel gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
He's in Washington.
You're right on CMC though. Like he for non-quarterbacks, especially when you're dealing with the teams they're on, because if you took Barkley out in Philadelphia, they'd still be okay just because of how good that offensive line is. But Niners just don't have the horses anymore. I liked Seattle anyway beforehand. I like them even more, at least in this game. Not for the full season, but at least this game. with the Seahawks. All right, let's go to Green Bay next. Packers and Lions, big NFC North battle to kick off the year. Of course, we are awaiting if Micah Parsons is going to be able to go with the back injury here on opening day, Chris. So the trade happened a little over a week ago. The bettors took it from 2 to 2.5. Now it's back to 2. The total's also been banged down from 49.5 to 47 in this one. Again, 2 projected top teams. You got bet to changing the favorite in the division market, right? Green Bay now the betting favorite in the NFC
Pounded
North.
me on the season win totals over. So I guess I'm kind of anti-Green Bay.
Yeah, there you go.
But I will say this.
Speaking Ryan McCormick's language.
I will say this, though. I think Detroit last year probably, if we were voting on the best team, would have been Detroit. They suffered a million injuries in the heading into the postseason. They just could not overcome those defensive injuries. I still think right now with a healthy roster, I think they're the best 53-man roster in the NFL. And I think people have totally forgotten about them. We're hearing all kind of stuff about, a lot about Green Bay, of course. And I know Dan Orlovsky saying Love is going to be his MVP choice on. Man, I think we're jumping ahead way too fast on him and on this team. And, Micah Parsons, he's a great player. And he may be, when healthy, the best pass rusher in the NFL. He has a back problem, and those back problems, they don't often disappear overnight. So, I'm not sure he's going to have the greatest year. I don't know. I really think this game should have been a pick'em. And, I can't believe the money did showed on Green Bay for the division, blah, blah, blah. But I really like Detroit in this game. I would look to take the money line here. This would definitely be one of my plays.
I'm with you, and I've been with you this whole offseason. I'm like, pump the brakes here with Minnesota and the Bears. The Lions have been working on building up this team for years. Dan Campbell's a really good coach. I know they lost both coordinators. We'll see what happens, but until they do, power rating the team on the field is still top 3 in the league. They're right there with the Eagles and the Ravens. I think most people have up there too. But so yeah, I like the points here. I think they can hang around. I also do like the Packers though. I thought they were another one that was not talked about, and it was the Vikings and the Bears coming into the season, and now the trade. Everybody started to remember how much they love the Packers and the love for them. But best division, I think, in the league, it's them and the AFC West can compete for it. But this starting game, I think the Lions have a lot to prove. In the first game, they are okay. And I think Jared Goff has come a long way since being in Detroit.
Go out to defense for the Lions, right? And Hutchinson's back, right. So that's huge for them. They couldn't, it got to the point where they really couldn't stop anybody. They were just in shootouts late in the season. So their defense is going to have to be better. This will be a good two-way betting game. I think you'll see support for both of these squads. And again, a game that everybody's going to get involved with. This could easily have been a primetime game. But the other ones are good. Don't get me wrong, but this one is a game that everybody's going to get involved with for sure.
By the way, I can see right now we just went to 1.5 with San Francisco.
Yeah. Okay.
Money showed on the dog there.
I will tell you this in this one. Teaser up to 8 on Detroit. I don't see this being more than a one-score game either way. I'm not certain who will win. We talked about it on our Alliance preview, which, by the way, all the previews are still up on the Sports by the Book page if you want to watch Alex and I's previews from the summer. I said it on the Detroit one. The only reason that I have them regressing, there are 2 things that scare me. The coordinator shifts. You lose both guys to be head coaches.
That's legit.
Ben Johnson was the best play caller in the NFL the last 2 years. And look, maybe I just can't get how his Ram tenure ended. But I'm just so scared of when is the other shoe going to drop with Jared Goff. Maybe he's past that, but it scares me with Goff. That we saw it implode with McVay, who's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Can it happen here? Maybe it won't. But Lions, I'm with you guys on the rest of the Lions roster. That roster is loaded up still yet again. All right, speaking of the Rams, speaking of Sean McVay, that's a good segue. Rams and Texans, this game's not getting any attention because of just how good the other premium games are, but this is 2 playoff teams and 2 teams that the Texans were competitive against Kansas City in the playoff game, and the Rams gave the Eagles the best shot of anyone in the postseason in the snow a year ago.
Yep.
Chris, it's 3. It never got through 3. It did toggle back to 2.5, but it's at 3 right now, 43.5. All questions on this game begin and end with Matthew Stafford's back in this one. We don't know. We don't know how bad or good that back is going into the year.
I know a guy who knows a guy that tells me his. What are you laughing at? Who told me he knows? He knows somebody that told me Stafford's back is okay.
Okay.
And I trust this guy. I don't know if he trusts the other guy, but I trust this guy.
That guy?
It's a link and a change.
The other guy.
First base.
It's a link and a change. But the link that I have, I trust. Further down the chain, I can't say. But I expect him to be okay. But again, we talked about quarterbacks, talked about a lot of young quarterbacks. I loved C.J. Stroud coming out of college. And I said that at the time. And, I thought that he was clearly the number one choice, instead of Bryce Young. And I think so far it's proven that. Now, last year he had a down year. They had a million injuries on that offensive line. And I think that's what caused it. But I look for C.J. Stroud. I mean, I wouldn't call it comeback, but I expect him to have a better year than he did last year. I kind of like Houston in this game. Again, I made it 2.5. So to me, you take the 2.5. Of course, you look for a 3. But I think the play would be the dog here.
These are tough numbers, right, with the uncertainty. And you think how the roster changes are going to impact the teams, but we really don't right now. So I'm right there at this number. I think I pretty much have these teams equal going into the year. Rams home field. I'm excited to watch this one, though, to see what we get from both. I do think C.J. Stroud, I like the weapons that they've brought in, and I think that they can be a good offense. I think they're a top 5 defense, too.
Yeah. Good coach, too. I like,
Ryans has been great.
He's terrific. Yeah. They've done a lot of good things. I love C.J. Stroud. His kids, I'm in favor of him quite a bit.
But we can't ever count out Matthew Stafford.
No,
it's
not one of my official plays.
The guy who told the guy is right.
Hang on.
I don't know if I got that right. 3 though, Vinny, here on this one.
Well, I got a guy who's laying 2.5, and another guy's taking the 3, and I think there's going to be a lot of those guys. And that's going to continue. By the way, Joe Mixon.
Yeah, he's not. We're not going to see him for at least a month.
Right,
out.
Yeah.
So which does not help Stroud.
That's Nick Chubb's music there in Houston.
That's again, you got a toggler here going back and forth.
I'll just say this, Vinny. This is the one game where I think you guys could get medaled. It makes a lot of sense that LA wins this game.
The obligatory mention.
I'll tell you, I would love to see this game get to 3.5, but I just don't see that happening.
Very little chance.
Yeah, no, I think it's 0. But boy, this game screams LA by a field goal to me. Or you know what? If you told me the Texans win this game, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Not a shock.
They're more than capable going on the road. It's not like the Rams have a home field advantage in LA. So
not really. No.
So
I give them a 1.5 though.
Okay, all right.
Nick, all right. 2.
Now let's go to what an epic game to close out the first Sunday of the season, guys. Buffalo, Baltimore, the two betting favorites in the AFC going into the year. Chris, Vinny, Alex. What an epic game here to end the year. By the way, it's now Baltimore favored across the board, including here at the South Point. Right. On the road in Western New York with a total of 51. Of course, we saw this in the playoffs last year. Buffalo survived, winning by a deuce thanks to the Mark Andrews dropped 2-point conversion. But, Chris, you see it there. Bills are the favorites to win the AFC at 3-1, and then Baltimore 7-2 just right behind them.
Okay, I talked about Denver having a 2.5-point home field advantage. The other team is Buffalo. And you can go look through the years. This team has been better at home than they are on the road. Now, that being said, I have them on neutral fields, the exact same power rating.
Okay.
And that my 2 highest power rated teams in the NFL, Philly a point behind them. Home field, and you got the road team as the favorite. I'm sorry, I just don't see that. I mean, to me, I think you got to play the home team here. This is, like I said, I think right now, I've really tried to do a lot of work on home field advantage, both college and pro. Buffalo's a very strong home field advantage. I think they should be a slight favorite in this game rather than Baltimore being a slight favorite in this game. And that's one of the teams I'm going to play.
I've gotten better because I overuse the revenge a lot. So I try and pick and choose. So Ole Miss, revenge. Kentucky kept them out of the playoffs last year. Baltimore Ravens, revenge. Buffalo knocked them out of the playoffs last year. It was a brutal loss. You mentioned it with Mark Andrews. They came back, thought they had a shot to actually win that game. So I think this game is pretty meaningful to them, right, to start the season. Now, with that being said, they played the Chiefs to start the year last year, and the Chiefs found a way to win that one too. So it's a tough handicap. It's at Buffalo, but I have the Ravens power rated higher than Buffalo with all the pieces, offensive, defensively, special teams. So it would be Ravens or pass for me.
Ravens won during the regular season, though, in Baltimore against the Bills, and they beat them. They were up 3 touchdowns early, and then. But you're right, Alex, in the playoffs when, the Bills prevailed. Chrissy's right. I mean, both of these teams have really good home field advantages. So some of the two of the better home field advantages in the league. Likely I think he's doubtful or out for this game, which does not help the Ravens. Look, primetime game, everybody's going to get involved in it. I think it's going to continue to go back and forth. A lot will depend on the carryover. There'll be teasers to both teams. There'll be, parlays and of course straight bets. So it's a terrific game, a great way to start the season, and two teams that figure to be involved in the postseason next year. Maybe the top two, and maybe again, you might be looking at a potential AFC title game or semifinal at the very least.
I'm with you, Chris. You're going to give me even teams with the home team being the dog? I'll take them. If Baltimore beats them up, so be it. Ravens are really good, too. And, Alex, you and I talked about this all summer long. Buffalo's schedule after this week is a joke for the next 7 weeks. And if you beat Baltimore week 1 and you can get out 7-1, 6-1, 8-0 even until that game against Kansas City, playoffs through Western New York. Final year for the Ralph, by the way. That new stadium's going to be ready next year. Look out. Look out. It's part of the reason that they moved to 12 on the season win total, too, from 11.5 is that schedule. I mean, from week 2 through week 8, I mean, they're going to be a touchdown favorite in basically every one of those games except for Atlanta. Easy stretch for Buffalo after this one on Sunday night. All right, final game of the weekend. And on Monday night, NFC North, Ryan McCormick's Chicago Bears welcome in the Minnesota Vikings. Chris, I am fascinated by the way this game has been bet because Minnesota's essentially playing a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, who only played in one preseason game a year ago before the meniscus tear. And the market took it from Chicago 1 to Minnesota 1.5 on the road on Monday night. Obviously, there's questions on what is Ben Johnson going to be as a head coach. Is Caleb Williams actually going to improve? Big questions at left tackle for the Bears. But I'm a little floored that the market is in love with Minnesota when they're essentially starting a rookie quarterback here, even though it's technically year 2 for McCarthy.
Question marks all over the place in this one. That's why I made the game pick. So cutting it pretty close, taking 1.5 either way. But I made the game pick them. I can't wait to watch this game. And I'm going to try not to overreact to whatever we see this day because, like I said, million question marks. How good are these quarterbacks? How good a coach is Johnson? I don't know. Like I said, I hope it's a really close game so I don't have to overreact and I don't feel like it. If this is 24-23, I'll be happy probably no matter what because I think it's going to be a well-bet game both ways.
If it lands one either way, you're okay there, Chris?
Not yet, but let's see what happens.
Easy.
And let's, I got a few tricks up my sleeve with money lines and all that. Yeah. So, don't worry about me.
Good game. Figures to be an improved division, right? When you look at it, the NFC North
we
is going to be
have them top division of football.
Yeah, it's a fun division. All these games are good. This one here, we'll see. With the new look Bears and how they are, and the Vikings always. By the way, Jordan Addison, I think is
Yes.
isn't he?
Suspended
He's suspended
3
for
games.
this game.
3 games,
Yeah.
yep.
So that for a rookie quarterback losing one of his top wideouts. But look, it'll be a great a good game, and this number is going to be seriously impacted by everything carrying over to it. It's the ultimate carryover game. So Monday night.
It's okay. They bring Adam Thielen back,
Okay.
which I think is crazy that Carolina did that. Then they need the wide receivers. But anyways, I made a pick too. So I'm going to definitely actually, I'm hoping I have to hedge from this contest.
Oh, there you go.
And then I'm going to
Very good,
on
Al.
the other side.
We'll see. That could be a big thing too. See where the money flies in on some hedging opportunities.
Especially since it's so close to pick. Yeah.
Sure.
I will tell you guys this, and Alex knows this because I have been touting the Bears all off season long, and
You've been hanging out with McCormick.
you know what?
What are you talking about? The guy turns your microphone off and on. What do you expect? We're shocked.
Well, actually, that's on Sean, I think, today. But I am drinking the Caleb Williams Kool-Aid. I really think that the last year had to do with the fact that they were just a poorly coached disaster.
They were.
Last year. And Ben Johnson, look, maybe the hype machine's wrong. Maybe he's just a play caller and it doesn't work out. And we never know with first-time head coaches. But he's the most hyped. Chris, it's been a long time since we've seen a coordinator be this hyped going into a season as a first-time head coach. It's been a while since we had someone like
Probably
this.
since '85 with Buddy Ryan.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Let me say this, about Williams coming out of college. I mean, the knock on him was he tried to make too many great plays. He faded back too far. And I think with good coaching, that can be coached out of you. And, is Johnson the right guy? I have a feeling he might be. Yeah. So I mean, I think this kid's going to be pretty good. Again, he was the #1 draft choice. He has plenty of talent.
Mm-hmm.
He had some flaws in his game that needed to be corrected, and I think this is maybe the guy that can correct that. But again, that being said, look at that division they're in. I mean,
fun division.
You get 9 wins out of that division. I mean, that's going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
40 wins between the other 3 teams last year.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Nice.
I did pick the Bears. I did pick the Bears to win this division this year. So that's my one.
I don't think
long
that
shot.
would really shock anybody, but it would be a surprise.
It'd be a big bet, 7-1. I mean, a big price on that. But if you told me this division had 3 playoff teams again, sign me up right now. That's what I picked anyway. So, boy, great game. Great game to line it up, finish it up on Monday night.
I got to tell you, Sunday, there's a lot of good games. First of all, the Rams game and the Detroit game on Sunday afternoon are great.
Yes.
Then you finish with the Bills and Ravens, and that Bears-Viking game is going to get a ton of business.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking for a huge handle this weekend, and a lot of times it has to do with how the time and the scheduling and all that. But the scheduling is going to work out very well for us.
And also, don't forget as well, you got until Sunday morning at 10 a.m. to get these cards in. $5 jackpot parlay card, $25,000 guaranteed. We're going to be through the $25K, I'm assuming now. I think you made the $60, Chris.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we made the $60.
I think you got there. Only 12 cards on that, but as many as you want, as many cards as you want, $5 a card. Get them in before kickoff on Sunday morning out here on the West Coast. All right, before we go, everyone wants your picks, Chris Andrews.
You want my picks?
Yeah.
Pros or college or both?
Everything you got.
Well, let me give you the pros since we've been talking about the pros. I have 5 games I like quite a bit. Starting with tonight, I like the Chargers. I like the Giants. I think that's a wise guy play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I fell for that or not. I'm not sure. I like Detroit.
Money line Detroit?
Money line. Yeah, money line. Why not?
Okay.
I like the Saints.
You should get the 2.
I like the Saints. And I like Buffalo at home Sunday night.
All right, those are the 5 for the NFL. College-wise, Chris?
Tell you what, I'll post because
you post them on
I'm in the contest.
Okay.
You know.
That's
so
fine.
I don't want to. I don't want to post them.
Hours.
It closes at 3 o'clock. I think the contest.
That's why I'm getting a little
Five?
antsy over here.
Okay,
No.
I'll post them after 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Don't scare me like that.
Please get your deadlines correct.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I did them this morning because I knew I'd get busy.
Here we go. All right. That's what we got here for the show. We gave out our plays throughout the show, Alex. Yep. So hopefully you were following along on that. I'll just tell you, my favorite NFL play of the week is the Bears, which should scare everybody involved, including Ryan McCormick on that. But that's
I saw him tying a noose. I'm not sure.
Oh boy. Well, I don't have to get that morbid. But, there we go. Look, we're here. We made it. Week 1, NFL. Week 2, college football. We're back here every Friday, 10 a.m. for our normal show, 12 noon Pacific for this Football Frenzy show with Vinny and Chris and Alex and I. We thank you all for watching. If you missed any of it, seriously, go back, watch the whole 2 hours plus.
A lot of good information.
A lot of great information. Always is. Year 3 of this show, guys. Pretty amazing. 3 years here for Football Frenzy on a Friday. For Chris Andrews, for Vinny Magliulo, for Alex White, I'm Jeff Parles. Shout out to the crew, Sean, Ryan, and Ann, and Jerry and Vince today, and Drew Dog. Don't forget Drew Dog as well. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again on Monday. Chris will be back with us to recap what we saw from over the weekend and much more right here. Sports by the Book, Football Frenzy, South Point Studio at the South Point Hotel and Casino.